Chapter 1536. At this moment, the entrance to the merry-go-round opened. After waiting for about half an hour, it was finally Yunjian and the others' turn. Yao, Lily and Lin Wan had gone to play other exciting games, so now only Yunjian and Ce were with the four children: Xiao Yunju, Duanli, Duanya and Suli. As soon as the entrance to the merry-go-round opened, the unhappiness from before was thrown to the back of their minds. Fan Xian shook her wrist that was grabbed by Yunjian. She was surprised. Why wasn't her hand hurt? And she didn't feel any pain at all? There wasn't even a trace of being pinched? Because the entrance to the merry-go-round was already open, Fan Xian didn't feel any pain on her wrist. So she quickly grabbed her son, Zhang Laifu, and called her husband, Zhang Shan, and ran to the entrance of the merry-go-round. No one saw Zhang Laifu fiercely glare at Xiao Yunju. His eyes were full of anger, as if he wanted to kill Xiao Yunju. The merry-go-round was quite fun. At least Xiao Yunju, Duanli, Duanya, and Suli had a lot of fun. After the game ended, Suli stretched her body and said to Xiao Yunju and the others happily, "It's great to be at an amusement park. It's the first time someone accompanied me to an amusement park. Dad has to deal with a lot of government affairs every day. Mom doesn't want to accompany me to the amusement park. In the past, it was only the attendants who accompanied me to the amusement park. Thank you." Suli's eyes were full of emotion. At the same time, hidden in Suli's eyes was an undetectable and unfathomable loneliness. "We'll play with you in the future." Xiao Yunju and the others blinked. They looked at Suli with their innocent eyes and smiled at her. Really? Suli looked up at Xiao Yunju and the others and asked with a trembling voice, "Of course it's real. Let's go play other games." Xiao Yunju and the others were ready to move. Then they pulled Suli to other places. "Let's go play the pirate ship. Sister will play the pirate ship with us." Yay yay yay. At this time, Xiao Yunju and Duanli seemed to have found a new goal. They pulled Yunjian and shouted excitedly. The pirate ship was a more exciting game. Although the pirate ship did not sway too much, if you were to sit on the pirate ship, you would feel like your heart was about to be shaken out of your body. Especially when it swayed from side to side more and more violently. It felt like if a person was sitting on a pirate ship without a seat belt and enhanced safety features, they would be thrown off. In the amusement park, you would find that the more dangerous the game, the more complicated the safety measures. Because the pirate ship was a very exciting game, there was a limit to the height of the players. The island's height. SSSSS. SSSSS. Xiao Yunju, Duanli, and Suli wanted to experience the thrill of the pirate ship. Yunjian had to let Duanya stand there and let Ce look after Duanya. Yunjian accompanied Xiao Yunju, Duanli and Suli. Because the pirate ship was exciting and the children's height was limited, there weren't many people waiting in line to play the pirate ship. Yunjian and the others waited for 5 minutes before they could go up. "It's you, huh?" Just as Yunjian brought Xiao Yunju, Duanli, and Suli onto the pirate ship, a groan came from behind. Yunjian turned her head and saw Fan Xian, who had a small conflict with Yunjian, holding her son Zhang Laifu's hand. "Hee, you dared to come here to play the pirate ship? Don't cry later and go home to your mother." Fan Xian's husband, Zhang Shan, was afraid of playing the pirate ship. Therefore, Fan Xian brought her son Zhang Laifu onto the pirate ship. Chapter 1537. Fan Xian obviously said that to Yunjian on purpose. Her original intention was to anger Yunjian. Yunjian's hand just now hurt Fan Xian. Although Fan Xian didn't feel the pain at all after Yunjian let go, Fan Xian was a vengeful person. "Get out of the way. Coward, I'll wait to see you cry later. Haha, get out of the way," Fan Xian said. She grabbed Zhang Laifu's hand and swaggered past Yunjian to the pirate ship. Yunjian ignored Fan Xian and Fan Xian's son. An ordinary pirate ship could seat 4 or 5 people in a row, but the pirate ship in the amusement park was bigger. It could seat 6 people neatly in a row. Yunjian and the others had a total of 4 people. Yunjian was afraid that Xiao Yunju, Duanli, and Suli would accidentally fall from the pirate ship, so she didn't let them sit on the side. Yunjian let Xiao Yunju and the other 2 sit in the middle, and then she sat on one side of the row. There were 6 people in a row. Yun Jian sat on the leftmost side, then Duanli, then Su Li, and finally Xiao Yunju. Xiao Yunju was braver, so he was the furthest away from Yun Jian. Yun Jian's row could seat 2 people. Mom, I want to sit with them. I want to see them cry. Zhang Laifu took the seat on the right side of Xiao Yunju and sat down. He looked at Xiao Yunju with a strange look, as if he wanted to kill Xiao Yunju. Fan Xian spoiled her son, so she naturally agreed to Zhang Laifu's words. So Zhang Laifu sat on the right side of Xiao Yunju, and Fan Xian sat on the rightmost side of Yun Jian's row. From left to right, Yun Jian's row was followed by Yun Jian, Duanli, Su Li, Xiao Yunju, Zhang Laifu and Fan Xian. After the staff fastened everyone's seatbelts and reinforced the safety measures outside, they returned to the control room, and the game officially began. It's about to begin. It's about to begin. Xiao Yunju shouted. TSK, what a coward. Fan Xian, who was sitting next to him, sneered. At this moment, the pirate ship game officially began. The pirate ship began to sway slowly. Xiao Yunju, Duanli, and Su Li were not afraid at all. Zhang Laifu's palms were sweating, but for the sake of his face, he forced himself to stay calm. Fan Xian was already screaming from being swayed. Yun Jian just put her hand on the armrest and let the wind blow her hair and clothes. She didn't know what fear was at all, just as the pirate ship's swaying was at its peak and was strong enough to fling someone out. The foolish Zhang Laifu suddenly shouted at Yunju. Brother Yunju, go to hell. You just bullied my mother. Go to hell. As he said that, Zhang Laifu grabbed the seatbelt of Xiao Yunju's seat and unfastened the seatbelt on Xiao Yunju's body. Zhang Laifu had already planned to do so. Once the seatbelt was unfastened, the other safety measure was not enough to bind Xiao Yunju, because Xiao Yunju was too thin. Especially at this moment, the pirate ship was flying to the highest point and was about to be thrown to the other side. Suddenly hearing Zhang Laifu's voice, the surrounding people looked over. However, at this moment, the pirate ship swayed down. Xiao Yunju flew out of the pirate ship because he didn't have a seatbelt. Oh my God! Something happened! Oh my God! Someone in the distance saw this scene and shouted in shock. He fell from a height of more than 10 meters. This boy will definitely die. At this moment, whether it was the people sitting on the pirate ship, the people standing on the ground waiting for the next batch of people to play the pirate ship, or the people passing by the pirate ship game, they all exclaimed in shock. Intuition told everyone present that Xiao Yunju, the child who was thrown out, was done for. Dead for sure. Dead for sure. However, at this moment, whether it was Fan Xian, Zhang Laifu, and the others sitting on the pirate ship, or everyone standing on the ground, they all saw a horrifying scene. They saw that immediately after Xiao Yunju was thrown out, Yun Jian unfastened her seatbelt with one hand and pounced on the trajectory of Xiao Yunju. What is she doing? Is she courting death? Everyone in the surroundings was boiling with fear. For a moment, everyone was trembling with fear. Chapter 1538. The pirate ship swayed left and right, using the motion of the ship's body in the game to sway to the highest point. Therefore, when the pirate ship swayed to the highest point and Zhang Laifu unbuckled Xiao Yunju's seatbelt, Xiao Yunju was like a wild goose whose wings were suddenly broken. He fell from a height of more than 10 meters. This scene shocked the people around, but it was understandable. After all, Xiao Yunju was thrown from a height of more than 10 meters. If his head hit the ground first, his head would be smashed in half by the impact. It was not impossible for the blood in his brain to spurt out. If his brain was smashed in half, how could a fragile child survive? Yun Jian sat in the seat furthest away from Xiao Yunju. She did not expect Zhang Laifu to be so cruel to Xiao Yunju. How could a child be so vicious? Because Su Li and Duan Li were in the middle, Yun Jian, who was sitting next to them, did not notice what Zhang Laifu had done to Xiao Yunju. However, Yun Jian reacted immediately. She did not even have time to think. She unbuckled her seatbelt and pounced toward the place where Xiao Yunju was thrown. Everyone present was scared out of their wits by Yun Jian's actions. The staff was so scared that they quickly exclaimed to each other to turn off the pirate ship's operating switch. Quick! turn off the pirate ship's operating switch. At this time, everyone sitting on the pirate ship, including the people standing on the ground, looked up at the sky. Yunjian did not even think about it. She unbuckled her seat belt and jumped out of another strengthened seat belt with her slender body. She pounced toward Xiao Yunju. In the sky directly in front, Yunjian quickly stood on the pirate ship. Then, she kicked her legs violently and jumped over Xiao Yunju. Xiao Yunju was thrown out. Yunjian's kick caught up with Xiao Yunju's speed. She first grabbed Xiao Yunju with one hand, and then the two fell to the ground together with the force. There were many people standing around. There were men and women, young and old, and people from all countries. At this moment, everyone's hearts were tightly clenched. It fell, just as Yunjian grabbed Xiao Yunju, and the two fell to the ground from a height of more than 10 meters. Yunjian and Xiao Yunju suddenly landed beside a large railing machine that lifted the pirate ship. Here's the chance. Yunjian's eyes flashed. In the next moment, she reached out and grabbed the large railing that lifted the pirate ship at a speed that no one could see with their naked eyes. Yunjian held Xiao Yunju with one hand. She grabbed the large railing and used the large railing to spin 360 degrees around the large railing with Xiao Yunju. Then, she used the large railing to slow down the momentum. Her body was as light as a feather as she landed easily in the last few meters. This extremely complicated move was completed in just 3 seconds by Yunjian. 3 seconds later, Yunjian had safely landed with Xiao Yunju. A series of events happened in these 3 seconds. In the eyes of the surrounding people, it was just Yunjian grabbing Xiao Yunju and using the large railing to slow down the momentum. Then, she jumped and landed smoothly, falling from the pirate ship, more than 10 meters in the air. Yunjian saved Xiao Yunju and landed smoothly without any injuries. This scene shocked the surrounding people so much that they could not describe it with words. In the next moment, the surrounding people exclaimed one after another, "Oh my God! This little girl is really amazing. Is this a show of Superman saving the world? Oh my God, am I seeing things? This can't be real." Compared to the people of various countries who suddenly saw Yunjian's shocking performance. On the pirate ship that had been forcefully docked, Fan Xan and Zhang Laifu, who said that Yunjian would be so scared that she would call for her mother on the pirate ship, were completely shocked. Their faces were pale and bloodless. She was actually so amazing. How was this possible? A person was thrown out of the pirate ship so violently. How could the other person catch up with the person who was thrown out? Not only that, she even saved the other person and landed safely. Chapter 1539. Wow! Superman! Little girl, you're the best! That's amazing! Could it be that the amusement park deliberately arranged that scene? That was simply too amazing! Too amazing! The surrounding people exclaimed in amazement in their own country's language. At this moment, everyone was applauding and cheering for Yunjian's actions. It was obvious that Yunjian's actions had exceeded everyone's understanding of a little girl. She was just a teenage girl. If she hadn't deliberately practiced this kind of performance, how could she have done such a frightening action? In that scene, if Yunjian's performance had been slightly off, she and Xiao Yunju would have been dead without a doubt. Therefore, when they saw this scene, the surrounding people cheered and screamed. Everyone clapped and applauded. Everyone's eyes, without exception, fell on Yunjian's body. Their eyes fell on this legendary girl. The pirate ship had completely stopped, and Yunjian was standing in front of the pirate ship. There were railings all around to prevent the tourists from being accidentally injured, while the pirate ship game was running. Just when everyone's eyes were on Yunjian, they saw Ce using his height advantage to step on the railing and easily jump in. Ce's hand was still holding on to Duanya's collar. Poor Duanya's collar was grabbed by Ce and she swayed closer to Yunjian. Ce jumped over the railing and entered the pirate ship game facility. He didn't care about the staff's shouts to stop him from jumping over the railing and directly walked towards Yunjian. Poor Duanya was being held by Ce, but she blinked her eyes and looked pitiful to the onlookers. Although Xiao Yunju was brave, he was still frightened by the dangerous situation just now. When Yunjian saw Ce walking over, she pulled Xiao Yunju towards Ce. Keep an eye on my brother. Yun Jian's eyes flashed with a sharp killing intent as she said this very calmly. It was as natural as eating and drinking. Ce understood Yun Jian. He pulled Xiao Yunju over. Everyone looked at Yun Jian, as if they were looking at their idol. Seeing Yun Jian turn around and walk towards the pirate ship, everyone was surprised. Fan Xian, who was sitting on the pirate ship, had already unfastened her and her son Zhang Laifu's seatbelt. Seeing Yun Jian walking over, Fan Xian panicked. Fan Xian didn't know what her son had just done. They thought that Yun Jian was coming over to unfasten Duan Li and Su Li's seatbelts. Seeing Yun Jian's calm expression, as if nothing had happened, Fan Xian panicked. Yun Jian suddenly glanced over, making Fan Xian speechless. Yun Jian raised her hand and unfastened Duan Li and Su Li's seatbelts. She then let them get off the pirate ship by themselves. Fan Xian heaved a sigh of relief, thinking that Yun Jian was going to follow Duan Li and Su Li down the pirate ship. Yun Jian suddenly grabbed Zhang Laifu. She didn't even think about it, and directly threw Zhang Laifu off the pirate ship that was more than 2 meters high. Seeing this scene, everyone's eyes widened. Fan Xian screamed even more exaggeratedly. Ah! Fuer! Before Fan Xian could finish screaming, Zhang Laifu was thrown off the pirate ship by Yun Jian. He hit the ground and cried out in pain. Before Fan Xian could react, Yun Jian had already followed up. In the next second, she stepped on Zhang Laifu's abdomen, who was rolling and screaming in pain. Chapter 1540. Why would she lay her hands on an 8-year-old child for no reason? Seeing Yun Jian throw Zhang Laifu off the pirate ship, the surrounding people were dumbfounded. Zhang Laifu was a fat boy, and it wasn't hard to tell that his family background was quite good. Otherwise, he wouldn't have eaten so much. Being thrown off the pirate ship by Yun Jian, even if Zhang Laifu was fat, his entire body would definitely be in pain from the fall. In fact, Zhang Laifu's feet had landed on the ground. Now that he had been heavily smashed, a clear kacha sound could be heard when Zhang Laifu's legs hit the ground. The child's body was thin and weak to begin with, so when Zhang Laifu's legs hit the ground, a clear kacha sound could be heard. Zhang Laifu's legs were fractured. At this moment, Yun Jian's foot was ruthlessly stepping on Zhang Laifu's abdomen. No matter how the surrounding people who didn't know the situation looked at it, they felt that Yun Jian had gone overboard. What was wrong with her? How could she be so ruthless to an innocent little boy? Many of the surrounding people were foreigners, so naturally, they couldn't understand Yun Jian's words. As foreigners, they could only look at Yun Jian's actions and guess Yun Jian's actions. Therefore, when Yun Jian stomped Zhang Laifu under her foot, the crowd went into a frenzy again. Oh my God! This little girl is too much. How could she hit a child so recklessly? Hurry up and stop her. Go stop her. The surrounding group of foreigners were stunned. When they realized that Yun Jian was hitting a child, they instantly felt disgusted with Yun Jian. A few of the more righteous foreigners even wanted to step forward to stop Yun Jian. Just as the more righteous foreigners were about to walk over to Yun Jian and try to stop Yun Jian from stepping on Zhang Laifu's abdomen, Ce suddenly pulled out a silver pistol from his trouser pocket and fired 2 shots into the air. His handsome face was extremely cold. What he said made the righteous foreigners, who did not know the truth, shrink back. Ce's thin lips moved slightly, his icy demeanor causing everyone present to retreat with a shriek. Anyone who dares to take a step forward will die. Ce was obviously protecting Yun Jian. Seeing Ce pull out a pistol, the surrounding people were frightened and retreated, screaming and fleeing. Fan Xian took a while to react. She saw her son Zhang Laifu being thrown off the pirate ship by Yun Jian. Zhang Laifu was struggling on the ground. She screamed and rushed over. Fu. Go to hell. How dare you do this to my son? Go to hell. As Zhang Laifu's father, Zhang Shan wanted to run over with a shriek when he saw his precious son being stepped on by Yun Jian, but he stopped when he saw Ce whipping out a gun. Gun. He have gun. Father's father. Father, son. Father, son. How dare you do this to son? Fan Xian rushed to Yun Jian's side. She ran to Yunjian and grabbed Yunjian's foot. She tried to lift Yunjian's foot from Zhang Laifu's abdomen. Fan Xian grabbed Yunjian's foot, but found that Yunjian's foot was as hard as iron. She tried her best but couldn't move Yunjian's foot. At this moment, Yunjian lowered her head. She pulled Fan Xian up with a cold face and threw her to the side. Fan Xian was smashed to the ground. Before she could stand up, she felt herself being pulled up. When Fan Xian reacted, she saw Yunjian's face. Just as Fan Xian was about to say something, Yunjian suddenly slapped Fan Xian. Fan Xian didn't even have a chance to speak after being slapped one after another. Yunjian only stopped when Fan Xian was on the verge of death. She looked at her coldly and said, Chapter 1541. Yunjian's words, coupled with her words and actions, made Fan Xian feel the fear of death. Ah! Fan Xian had been slapped by Yunjian like a crazy woman at this moment. Her hair was messy, and she was lying on the ground. Stop hitting him! Stop hitting him! I'm an employee of the Pleasure Island Amusement Park's monitoring room. I'm sorry about the accident just now. I found the reason why the little boy was thrown out of the pirate ship. This isn't a technical error. It's the boy lying on the ground who unfastened the seatbelt of the little boy just now when the pirate ship rose to the highest point, causing the little boy to fly out and almost cause an accident. Our Pleasure Island Amusement Park's equipment will not have any technical errors, so all the responsibilities must be borne by him and his parents. We have contacted the police. Please wait for a while. Just when the scene was chaotic to a certain extent, a staff member in uniform came over. In order to emphasize that the accident just now was not caused by a technical error in the amusement facilities of his Pleasure Island Amusement Park, he emphasized that Zhang Laifu deliberately persecuted Xiao Yunju just now. The staff spoke in English. Most of the people standing around understood English. At this moment, when they suddenly heard what the staff said, they were completely shocked. The video surveillance in the monitoring room was, just now, Xiao Yunju could be thrown out. Not because the safety facilities of the pirate ship were not in place, but Zhang Laifu did it deliberately? Oh my god! This can't be true. The little boy just had an accident, and it was done by this innocent-looking boy. Oh my god! If this is really done by this boy, then his heart is too bad. This kind of person is the scum of society. He should die. He doesn't learn good things at such a young age, and only knows how to harm people. That little girl did a good job. She did a good job. They should be kicked to death. After listening to the staff's words, the people around immediately turned to Yunjian's side. First of all, the staff of the amusement park would definitely be involved in the ending of this matter. Although Zhang Laifu was young, premeditated murder was no small matter. What's more, if they didn't deal with it properly, if word got out that the amusement park's gaming equipment was faulty, and someone almost fell to his death, the amusement park wouldn't take the blame. After such a thing happened, the police came quickly. Yunjian didn't follow them to the police station. Suli was the princess of H country. As long as Yunjian didn't commit murder or arson, the police wouldn't take Yunjian to the police station in H country. Zhang Laifu, Fan Xian, and Zhang Shan were not so simple. Before Zhang Shan, Zhang Laifu, and Fan Xian were taken away, Yunjian had already knocked them out. Only then did Zhang Shan dare to come forward. He hugged his son tightly and shouted. At this moment, the phone in Zhang Shan's pocket suddenly vibrated. He quickly put down his son, Zhang Laifu, picked up the phone, and opened the message. He saw that his bank account originally had a balance of tens of millions. But at this moment, the text message was sent. The remaining amount instantly became 0. Zhang Shan, who saw this text message, almost fainted. This text message was followed by a message. Your wife and son provoked someone who shouldn't be provoked. I'll let you live and take all your wealth. Zhang Shan, who saw this text message, fainted directly. Chapter 1542. After Zhang Shan fainted, Zhang Shan, Zhang Laifu, and Fan Xian were taken to the police station in Country H. The Pleasure Island Amusement Park had blacklisted Zhang Shan and his family. Even the Pleasure Island Amusement Park, which was located all over the world, had blacklisted Zhang Shan and his family. This meant that Zhang Shan and his family would never be able to visit the Pleasure Island amusement park again. Watching Zhang Shan and his family being taken away, Ce pressed the last button on his phone with his long fingers and put it down. His thin lips curled up slightly under his handsome face. Yun Jian had already comforted Xiao Yunju. Xiao Yunju was only frightened at the beginning. After he regained his composure, Xiao Yunju patted his chest and vowed to Yun Jian, "Sister, I'm not afraid. I wasn't scared just now. I'm a man." Seeing that Xiao Yunju wasn't frightened, Yun Jian was relieved. Just as she stood up, she saw Ce put down his phone. Yun Jian was suspicious. She raised her soft hand to take the phone that Ce was holding. Yun Jian reached out her hand to take the phone. Ce wasn't afraid of his privacy or secrets being seen by Yun Jian. He directly handed the phone to her, but he pinched Yun Jian's hand in return. To Ce, she could look at things like the phone as she pleased. But he needed something substantial in return. For example, Yun Jian checked Ce's phone twice and found that Ce had actually used his phone to hack Zhang Shan's bank card. He had also sent a message to Zhang Shan. Yun Jian checked Ce's phone. She suddenly raised her head and asked Ce softly with a hint of surprise in her voice, "You're a hacker?" Ce replied to Yun Jian and stuck close to Yun Jian. Both of them held the hands of Xiao Yunju and the other 3 children respectively, while Ce pressed his face to Yun Jian's ear, without the slightest hint of embarrassment. "Why didn't I know you're a hacker before?" Yun Jian read the content on Ce's phone seriously, before turning her head to look at him. Turning to the side, Yun Jian's cheeks were almost touching with Ce's lowered head. She turned back quickly and asked. Even Yun Jian nearly had the urge to cover her mouth when she asked the question. Since when did she sound like a spoiled child? She was becoming more and more playful when she spoke to Ce. "You didn't know it before, but you know it now. There's still a lot of things about me that Xiao Jian needs to know. Do you want to know and see?" Ce suddenly pressed his lips to Yun Jian's ear and spoke softly, his soft voice brushing against the edge of Yun Jian's ear. Yun Jian nearly shuddered from Ce's soft voice. She quickly pushed the playful Ce away and led Xiao Yunju, the other 3 children, and Suli out of the pirate ship game. Ce's lips curled into a faint smile on his handsome face. It was a smile that he would only show in front of his most beloved Xiao Jian. Watching Yun Jian pull Xiao Yunju and the other 3 children out, a sinister image suddenly appeared in Ce's mind. He wanted to push his Xiao Jian onto the bed and make her give birth to a bunch of children for him. Just like how Yun Jian was holding Xiao Yunju and the other 3 children's hands now, the positions of Xiao Yunju and the others would be his and Xiao Jian's children in the future. 4 was not enough. 10, 20, Chapter 1543. Ce did not stay for long as Yun Jian had already left. He believed that it would not be long before a baby Ce would be stuffed into Xiao Jian's stomach. It was time for his heir to be born. If Yun Jian knew what Ce was thinking, she would probably glare at him before lowering her head. Yao Lily and Lin Wan did not know what happened on the pirate ship. Pleasure Island Amusement Park was indeed a world-famous amusement park. After Yao Lily and Lin Wan walked around the amusement park, they almost couldn't hold any more food and dolls in their hands. Lin Wan had a lot of fun today. Most importantly, she was actually having fun with the superstar, Yao Lily. God, this was something that Lin Wan did not even dare to imagine in the past. After meeting up with Yun Jian, the group returned to Country H's palace. Yun Jian and Lin Wan came out to play during the weekend. They still had to go back to school on Monday. Therefore, both of them planned to fly back home after dinner in Country H's palace. "You're leaving? Why? Did we not treat you well?" Richard asked loudly in shock when he heard that Yun Jian was leaving. Yun Jian was leaving? She was leaving so soon? How was he going to keep her in Country H? Once Richard remembered that his mother, Marcia, had promised to help him keep Yun Jian, he turned to look at Marcia. Queen Marcia nodded at Richard, hinting for him not to be anxious. Richard finally calmed down. Everyone was dining at the long table, with Queen Marcia sitting at the most prestigious seat. Hearing Richard's exclamation, Yun Jian's eyes dimmed, but she ignored him. Yao Lily answered Richard's question for Yun Jian. They still have to go back to school. Yao Lily's words made Richard's eyes darken. Richard almost said to Yun Jian, Country H is so good. Why do you have to come back to Country Z? But after thinking about it, Richard still held back. What happened to Lu Yin was my fault. Please don't take it to heart. Stay for a few more days. Queen Marcia looked at Yun Jian and said softly. Even when Marcia was apologizing, her words were full of nobility. It was obvious that she was the queen, and everyone sitting below her was inferior to her. I'll return to Z Country in a moment. Hearing Marcia's apology, Yun Jian did not compromise. She would never change her mind because of anyone. Isn't our Country H good? Why are you in such a hurry? Queen Marcia asked again. When she said this, Marcia raised her voice. When Marcia said this, she acted as if she did not hear it at all. Yun Jian and Lin Wan returned to Z Country because they had to go back to school. Queen, they really have to go back to school. Even Yao Lily felt helpless about Marcia's dictatorship, so Yao Lily spoke again. Since everyone is sitting here, I'll just say it directly. Yun Jian, I misunderstood you before. Now the misunderstanding has been cleared. If you stay, I'll let you become the future queen of Country H. 3 days later, you'll marry my son Richard. Marcia's words were quite dictatorial. She did not even consider whether Yun Jian would agree with her decision or not. Hearing Marcia's words, Si looked up with his deep eyes that were as sharp as an eagle's. His eyes instantly reflected a strong murderous intent. Just before Ce was about to speak, Yun Jian grabbed Ce's hand and signaled him to keep quiet. Then Yun Jian stood up by herself. I think I must have made you misunderstand something. What Queen of Country H? I don't care. It seems that there's no need to continue this meal. Then I'll never see you again. When Yun Jian said this, she signaled them to stand up. Lin Wan was confused for a moment. This what was going on. However, Lin Wan and the others stood up cooperatively. How dare you? Just when they were about to turn around and walk out of the door, Marcia slammed the table and stood up. I'll give you the position of the future Queen of Country H. Such a great honor. And you don't want it? To be honest, I don't like a woman like you. If it weren't for my daughter who likes you so much, I wouldn't even accept an uneducated woman like you in my country. There was a strong sense of charity in Marcia's words. Chapter 1544. Marcia felt that what she said was like an imperial edict, and Yun Jian should accept what she said. But in fact, even Yao Lily could not accept Marcia's tone. That was why Yao Lily told Yun Jian that although Suli was Marcia's child, Suli was completely different from her own mother. Suli was a good girl, unlike Marcia, who was dictatorial and tyrannical. Marcia's words could not be accepted by anyone. What was more ridiculous was that Marcia felt that what she said was like an imperial edict, and there was nothing wrong with it. I don't care about the position of the Queen of H country. This position is a treasure to you. But to me, it is a useless position. Only a useless person can sit on this position forever. Only a woman without her own power and influence would guard her position as queen like a treasure. Needless to say, if H country were to be destroyed one day, then Marcia, the queen, would be even worse than a commoner. Because she only knew how to rely on men. She only knew how to please men in exchange for this position. To be honest, Marcia had nothing now that she had lost the position of queen. How dare you? Marcia was so angry by Yun Jian's words that she slammed the table again. Yun Jian actually said that she was a useless person. She actually said that the position she was sitting on was a useless one. Maida is the prince of H country, and will be the king of H country in the future. How dare you say something like that? Fine. You don't deserve to be the future queen of H country. But don't even think about leaving today. Even if I want you to be my daughter's concubine, I want you to stay. Guards, surround them for me. You can't escape today. Marcia slammed the table and roared. At this moment, she even threw away her years of self-restraint. Her carefully dressed face was now extremely ferocious. Marcia originally wanted Yun Jian to be her son Richard's woman, and the future queen of H country. But now Marcia had changed her mind. A woman like Yun Jian was not worthy of her son, Richard. However, her son Richard was already 25 years old. Until now, he had not taken a liking to any woman and had not given birth to an heir. It was rare that Richard liked Yunjian, so Marcia wanted to force Yunjian to stay and let Yunjian give birth to Richard's child. She wanted to stabilize her son's position in Country H first. After a long time, he would arrange a wife for Richard, and then let Richard's first wife give birth to an heir for him. At that time, Yunjian could die wherever she wanted, and she wouldn't care at all. Marcia's wishful thinking was very good. She also believed that the royal army of H country could stop Yunjian. Moreover, Marcia felt that Yunjian should be touched to death by giving Yunjian the status of a concubine. As soon as Marcia finished her words, a large group of guards rushed in from outside the palace. These guards were holding submachine guns and pistols in their hands. The scene was so overwhelming that it was frightening. Marcia raised her head high confidently. Yunjian grabbed Siyi's hand and comforted him, so that he wouldn't take action. Otherwise, Country H would become history if Siyi took action. Country H was innocent. The only one at fault was Marcia. Yunjian glanced around and smiled coldly. She looked into Marcia's eyes and said, "Do you think these people can stop me? Why not? Could it be that you're a god? The royal army of H country is not something you can defeat." Marcia said confidently. The royal army of H country was a powerful army that was famous all over the world. Marcia didn't believe that Yunjian could escape. However, as soon as Marcia finished her words, Richard also felt that his mother's actions would definitely make Yunjian stay. Yunjian smiled contemptuously. Her smile was sweet, but it made everyone's hair stand on end. The royal army of H country is indeed powerful. They have even eliminated an international criminal organization, Yunjian said calmly. Marcia raised her head confidently when she heard that Yunjian knew about the power of the royal army of H country. However, before Yunjian finished her words, Yunjian's words were heard again. Her words resounded throughout the whole place. Marcia, Richard, and all the soldiers who belonged to the royal army of H country were shocked. Yunjian's clear, loud, arrogant, and unabashed words resounded throughout the place. Chapter 1545. Yunjian's clear voice echoed in every corner of the venue. Everyone was stunned when they heard Yunjian's voice. Apart from Ce, no one could react in time. Ce stood next to Yunjian. If Yunjian was not holding his hand, he would have attacked long ago. Why would he wait until now? However, Ce did not attack immediately, because Yunjian was holding his hand, and he could feel the warmth of her tender hand. Judging from today's situation, he would definitely let Prince Richard and Queen Marcia know how close death was to them. Ce's expression was nonchalant, but those around them who knew what Yunjian was referring to caught up with her swiftly. "Yunjian just now, what did she say?" "She said that Queen Marcia's country H royal army was powerful, but slaying God's kosher mercenaries would not be weaker than Queen Marcia's country H royal army. She even said that there was no such thing in this world as an army that could stop slaying God." Slaying God? Kosher mercenaries? What? Slaying God. Could the slaying God that Yunjian mentioned be the #1 secret agent on the international secret agent ranking? The king of secret agents that no one could surpass? The one who struck fear in people's hearts and made countless international businessmen and politicians flinch. Slaying God. Queen Marcia, Richard, and everyone from Country H's royal army were horrified when they heard Yunjian's words. Yao Lily's face darkened as well. Yao Lily only knew about Yunjian's ability and the fact that Yunjian could come and go as she pleased in an Han organization. Hence, she assumed that Yunjian was comparable to the 4 leaders of an Han organization. However, she had never expected Yunjian to be the #1 secret agent on the international secret agent ranking. No wonder. No wonder you're called SS. You're the #1 secret agent on the international secret agent ranking. Slaying God. Yao Lily looked at Yunjian in horror. Yao Lily had never asked about Yunjian's identity before, but that didn't mean she wasn't curious. However, Yao Lily knew that the less he knew about this, the better. Today, after hearing Yunjian's question that had puzzled her for many years, Yao Lily was really shocked. It turned out that the person who had saved her back then was slaying God, the number one on the international secret agent ranking. Queen Marcia and Richard were still in shock. The two of them stood there stupidly, unable to react for a long time. It was not until Yao Lily's exclamation that Marcia and Richard realized what was going on. Naturally, Marcia and Richard knew what slaying God, the number one on the international secret agent ranking, represented. When Marcia and Richard heard what Yun Jian said, they were completely stunned. It was only until they heard Yao Lily's voice that both of them snapped out of their shock. When Marcia heard Yun Jian calling herself slaying God, the number one on the international secret agent ranking, she was about to retort in a cold tone when she heard Yao Lily's voice. Yao Lily had addressed Yun Jian as SS from the beginning. That was true. In the beginning, no one knew what Yao Lily meant when he called Yun Jian SS. However, after hearing Yun Jian's self-address, and recalling that Yao Lily had always addressed Yun Jian as SS, slaying God? She was SS. Are you really slaying God, the number one on the international secret agent ranking? The current boss of kosher mercenaries? The queen's noble demeanor crumbled again and again. Her pupils constricted as she stared at Yun Jian, and shrieked in shock. Yun Jian, the woman that her son Richard had his eyes on, was actually slaying God, the number one on the international secret agent ranking? The king of secret agents who terrorized the world. Queen Marcia had just finished asking Yun Jian when she saw Yun Jian taking 2 steps toward her. Marcia's heart skipped a beat when she saw that. She was so shocked that her face froze. In the next second, Yun Jian took 2 slow steps toward Marcia. She smirked and spoke in a cold voice. Marcia was so shocked that the crown on her head fell off. Chapter 1546. Slaying God, the number one on the international secret agent ranking, was a world-class existence. Not only that, she was also the boss of the kosher mercenaries. The kosher mercenaries alone were comparable to the country H's royal army. No, the kosher mercenaries were not on the same level as the country H's royal army. The kosher mercenaries were many times more powerful than the country H's royal army. In other words, if the kosher mercenaries wanted to, they could even destroy a country. At the very least, the kosher mercenaries could fight against the country H's forces. Marcia's face darkened completely, especially after hearing what Yun Jian said. Marcia was even more terrified. The manners of a queen did not exist in Marcia's mind at all. Marcia's face turned pale. Fortunately, Lin Wan was not around. Otherwise, she would have been scared out of her wits, and it would be difficult for Yun Jian to explain. Even if you're the number one on the international secret agent ranking, slaying God. So what? Don't forget that your brother and sister are still here. The country H's royal army may not be able to trap you, but don't forget that your brother and sister won't be able to escape death either. Marcia was so frightened by what Yun Jian said that the crown on her head fell off. She quickly squatted on the ground to pick it up and put it back on. From the corner of her eye, she saw Xiao Yunju and the rest. Therefore, Marcia used this to threaten Yun Jian. Of course, the moment Marcia heard Yun Jian say that she was slaying God, she was completely terrified. The number one on the international secret agent ranking, slaying God. She did not dare to let Yun Jian stay, unless Marcia did not want to live anymore. However, based on what Yun Jian said, it seemed that Yun Jian was not going to let her go. Marcia trembled violently. However, as the queen of country H, she forced herself to calm down. Compared to Marcia's reaction, Richard looked at Yun Jian with infatuation and despair. She was slaying God, the number one on the international secret agent ranking. Did this mean that there was no hope for him? What Marcia said sounded right to the people around her. It was true that slaying God was powerful, and no one dared to refute that statement. However, Yun Jian now had a family to feed. She was not alone. She had brought Xiao Yunju and the other 2 with her. As slaying God, the top secret agent in the international ranking, it was only natural that she could escape from the guns of country H's royal army easily. However, things were different now. Yun Jian was no longer alone. She even brought along Xiao Yunju and the other 2. It wasn't difficult for her to escape alone. But what if she brought along Xiao Yunju and the other two? Marcia was full of confidence this time. She could not afford to offend Slaying God, then threaten Slaying God. Slaying God would definitely compromise after being threatened. At that time, she would ask Yunjian to bring Xiao Yunju and the others away quickly. Marcia's only thought was to send Slaying God away. She did not want to create a disaster because of her actions. However, just as Marcia finished her sentence, Yao Lily continued. What Yao Lily said made Marcia's expression change drastically. SS once brought dozens of people to escape the attack of hundreds of gold medal assassins, let alone bringing 3 to 4 people to escape from Country H's Royal Army's attack. I know her. With her ability, even if she managed to escape safely with her people, she still has the ability to wipe out Country H's Royal Army. Yao Lily was very firm when she said this because she had seen Yun Jian's ability before. What are you talking about? How is this possible? Yao Lily's words made Marcia's jaw drop. Just when Marcia was so shocked that she could no longer express the fear in her heart with panic, Ce, who was walking toward her from a distance, walked toward her. Ce, who stood not far away, strode forward and took 2 steps toward Yunjian, extending his arm to pull her into his embrace. Ce pulled Yunjian into his embrace in front of everyone. His thin lips curled as he spoke coldly. His words were directed at Marcia and Richard. 100 missiles from an Han organization have locked onto Country H's royal palace. You will pay for your foolish actions. Chapter 1547. With Ce's attack, how could Country H survive? At this moment, the words "an Hun organization" deeply agitated everyone present. Everyone's expression changed abruptly, especially Marcia and Richard. The Kosha mercenaries and Slaying God were enough to scare Marcia and Richard. Marcia had completely dispelled the idea of keeping Yun Jian. However, the problem now was that Yun Jian and Ce would not agree to it, even though Marcia had dispelled this ridiculous idea. They wanted to stop now that things had escalated to this stage. There was no easy solution in this world. An Hun organization. I thought an Hun organization doesn't participate in any country's disputes. Why? Marcia's expression changed again and again. Her face could no longer be described as flabbergasted. First, it was the Kosha mercenaries. Now it was an Hun organization. These 2 organizations were the assassin organizations that had caused an uproar in the world today. Marcia was so scared that she almost had a heart attack. Her whole life of being reserved and pretending to be elegant had completely collapsed at this moment. What are you going to do to Country H? At this moment, Richard finally understood the meaning of the word fear. He lifted his head and looked at Ce in horror. The expression in his eyes was endless fear. Country H will be destroyed because of you. Ce did not even look at Richard. He did not allow Yun Jian to speak. Instead, he pulled Yun Jian into his arms and said these words to Richard in despair. Country H destroyed? No. To Richard, this was a fact that was harder to accept than death. I don't want Yun Jian anymore. I don't want Yun Jian to stay and be my woman. Let us go. Let us go. Richard ran toward Ce. Richard, who was not short, looked like a defeated captive at this moment. It was hilarious. When Ce heard Richard say, I don't want Yun Jian to stay and be my woman, his eyes suddenly flashed sharply. In the next second, just as Richard ran to Ce to beg for mercy, Ce lifted his leg and kicked Richard to the ground. He held on to Yun Jian tightly with one hand. When his other leg kicked Richard to the ground, he stepped on Richard's abdomen. Then Ce stepped on Richard's abdomen and tossed and turned. His strength was so strong that Richard's internal organs made a gurgling sound. My woman can only be sullied by me. Who do you think you are? How dare you steal my woman? Prince of Country H? Even if you are the king of Country H, in front of me, you are still a piece of trash. As Ce spoke, his long legs stepped on Richard's abdomen even more violently. Richard's face turned green after being stepped on. The royal army of Country H had already been frightened by Yun Jian and Ce. At this moment, no one dared to move. Dar! No. This is all my fault. Let us go. I kneel to you. Please let Dar go. Dar is innocent. He did not do anything wrong. Please let Dar go. Marcia looked at her son, Richard, who was being stepped on by CE, and was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. She really regretted it this time. Seeing that Richard was almost suffocated by CE's foot, Marcia directly gave up her dignity as a queen. She actually knelt down in front of CE in front of everyone. But who was CE? Why would he care about Marcia? Just when Marcia thought that things had reached a point of no return, something even more desperate happened. At this moment, a guard rushed in from outside the gate. When she saw this guard, Marcia was stunned. This guard was Marcia's husband, who was also the closest confidant of the king of Country H. Before Marcia could wonder why the king's closest confidant was here, the bodyguard then exclaimed in an exaggerated tone, "Young master, you've been through a lot." "Queen, prince, not good. I don't know what happened, but the technical department of Country H has been completely infiltrated by a large group of hackers. All the money in the bank has been frozen, and all the weapons and equipment have been completely hacked. The king is rushing people to the front hall. You should go and take a look." Just when the guard finished speaking, Marcia and Richard suddenly looked up at CE with narrowed eyes. Chapter 1548. How could he do this? At this moment, Marcia and Richard felt like dying. If Marcia and Richard weren't sure that CE was a member of an Hun just now, then Marcia and Richard were sure of it now. Because in today's world, other than some powerful countries, only an Hun could completely disrupt H country's technology department in just a few minutes. This was too scary. In the high-tech world, if a hacker was good enough, he could do many incredible things. And in Hun was a place where countless elites and talents were gathered. After the guard finished his words, he was also frightened by the atmosphere at the scene. How could the king of H country kneel to a stranger? Their prince of H country was actually being stepped on by a stranger. The guard, who didn't know what was going on, shouted and rushed towards CE. At the same time, the guard took out a pistol from his waist and tried to aim it at CE. He shouted, "Let go of our prince," and rushed towards CE. However, just as the guard was about to fire, CE lifted Richard from the ground and used Richard to block the guard's gun. The guard reacted quickly. Seeing that CE used the prince to block the gun, he immediately put away his pistol and didn't fire. At the same time, CE took 2 steps forward with his long legs and sent the guard flying with a kick. It was so fast that the people around them could not see it with their naked eyes. At the same time, his hands were tightly wrapped around Yun Jian's slender waist, and he couldn't bear to let go of Yun Jian. After kicking the guard away, CE stepped on Richard's body. However, this time, CE didn't step on Richard's abdomen. Instead, he stepped directly on Richard's head. Richard was completely humiliated when CE stepped on his head. As the prince of a country, as a global superstar, he didn't even have the strength to resist when his head was stepped on by a man. Richard was ashamed and desperate. Just kill me. Richard was not willing to continue being humiliated. However, this was not the end. CE stepped on Richard's head, making it impossible for Richard to turn around. The strength of his leg was so great that Richard couldn't even turn over. The pain in his body and the humiliation in his heart almost drove Richard to the brink of collapse. But this was not the end. CE held Yun Jian with one hand and stepped on Richard's head. She said to Richard word by word, "She's my woman. Don't even think about it. Her entire body belongs to me. Even if it's going to be defiled, it can only be me. Because she belongs to me." CE's possessiveness was shocking. After he said the last word to Richard, he lifted his leg that was stepping on Richard's head, but at the same time, he lifted his leg and kicked Richard's face, knocking him out. CE was not throwing a tantrum. He was just handling a matter calmly. His Xiaojian could only be his. Even if he wanted to, it could only be him. Everything about her, from her skin to her cells, could only belong to him. His personal possession. Even if she was tainted, it could only be done by him. My daughter. Marcia had completely lost her dignity as a queen. When she saw that Richard had fainted, she crawled toward Richard like a frightened dog. The crown on her head fell off as well. Marcia did not look like a queen at all. Richard and Marcia were completely scared out of their wits. Ce was already holding Yun Jian's hand and walking out. Before he left, he took Xiao Yunju and the other two with him. He held Yun Jian's hand carefully with one hand, while his other hand grabbed Xiao Yunju and the other two by their collars and dragged them outside. Yao Lily followed them out as well. She planned to look for Lin, one who had gone to the washroom because of a stomachache just now. Ce held Xiao Yunju's collar with one hand and Yun Jian's hand with the other, like he was holding a treasure, as they left Country H's palace. The Country H's royal army in Country H's palace did not dare to make a sound. They could only watch as Ce left with Yun Jian. Not long after Ce pulled Yun Jian out of the palace, Missouri's son arrived in a helicopter. Emo's son was called over by Ce. After Ce carried Xiao Yunju and the other three onto the helicopter, he carried Yun Jian onto the helicopter and returned to Country Z. Chapter 1549. Ce brought Yun Jian back to Country Z straight away. Of course, the matter in Country H was not over yet. He would deal with Marcia and Richard, but with Xiao Yunju and the other three here. Ce's actions just now had stunned Xiao Yunju and the others. Ce had wanted to crush Richard's head with his foot. If Xiao Yunju and the others saw such a gory scene, they would definitely be traumatized from their childhood. Therefore, it was all thanks to Xiao Yunju and the others that Richard was able to survive this time. What happened after that was simple. Ce did not declare war on Country H. Country H was not weak, and it was easy for Ce's and Hun Group to annihilate the country. However, an Hun Group's internal influence would be greatly reduced after that. And Hun Group's influence might even fall to the level of the Kosha mercenaries. Of course, if Yun Jian had the intention to annihilate Country H, Ce would have done it. He did not care about anything else. Even if an Hun Group was gone, it was not as important as his Xiao Jian. His Xiao Jian was his everything. The necessary persecution was unavoidable. Richard and Marcia would pay a painful price for their actions. Yun Jian did not know what the price was for now. Yun Jian was currently sitting on Ce's lap. She could not move even if she wanted to. Xiao Yunju and the others had taken up more than half of the space in the helicopter, so she could only sit on Ce's lap obediently. Beep beep beep. Let's go, let's go. The scary thing was that Xiao Yunju and the others began to play with each other the moment they boarded the helicopter. There was only so much space in the helicopter. Xiao Yunju and the others began to play with each other. Yun Jian, who sat on Ce's lap, could clearly feel Xiao Yunju and the others accidentally bumping into Ce, causing her to jerk up and down on Ce's lap. It was as if, at this moment, Yun Jian could clearly feel that part of Ce was expanding at a fiery speed. Yun Jian hurriedly looked out of the window and pretended not to notice the change in Ce. The Xiao Yunju trio were still making a ruckus. At this moment, Yun Jian suddenly felt Ce leaning towards her right ear. She whispered to Yun Jian in a voice only the two of them could hear. "Xiao Jian, I want you." As soon as Ce finished speaking, Yun Jian almost slid down from Ce's lap. In the end, however, Yun Jian returned to Longmen City with a smile on her face despite Ce's harassment. Just as they arrived at Gu Yunjian's house, they saw Shuang sitting in the living room of Gu Yunjian's house. His chest was bare, and a certain part of his muscular chest was wounded by a sword and was still bleeding. Si Luo, who sat beside Shuang, was applying medicine for him with trembling hands and tears in her eyes. Yun Jian and Ce, who witnessed the scene, frowned slightly. Qin Yiru was definitely not home, and neither was Gu Junjian. That was why Shuang was here. "Woman, what are you crying for?" "I'm not dead yet. It's just a little injury." Shuang looked at Si Luo, who was wiping away her tears as she applied medicine for him. He was not in pain but was annoyed by her. "Sob, you're hurt." "It hurts." Si Luo was no longer as fearful of the long scar on Shui Ying's neck as she used to. She was sobbing uncontrollably as she applied medicine for Shui Ying's trembling body. "Young master, it's someone from Yulong mainland." When Yun Jian and Ce saw the scene, Emo's son, who stood beside them, spoke with a darkened gaze. "Yulong mainland? The witch tribe is in trouble. Adam went missing not long ago after he sent the news back." Emo Sin's expression was grim. When he heard that Adam had gone missing, he had almost rushed to Yulong mainland to look for him. Yulong mainland. Yunjian pressed her lips together with a raised brow. For some reason, her instincts told her something. Chapter 1550. Tell me the details. Ce lowered his dark eyes slightly. He looked sideways at Emo-san, and said these 3 words briefly. Yunjian's eyes also lowered slightly. They had lost contact with Adam? Did this mean that they had lost track of Adam in the Yulong continent? Adam and Lan Su were together. If they lost contact with Adam, it meant that something must have happened to Lan Su. Something must have happened to the witch tribe. It's like this. Someone desperately escaped from the witch tribe and brought us news that something had happened to the witch tribe. The #1 aristocratic family in the Yulong continent, the Huyan family, had attacked the witch tribe. At that time, that person was chased by a group of Huyan family's top experts to the organization. The Huyan family's top experts were all killed by Shuang. Cough cough. But Shuang suffered some minor injuries in order to save Si Luo. Emo-sen's brows furrowed tighter with every word he said. In short, the witch tribe was in danger. They did not know whether Adam, who was in the witch tribe, was in trouble. The #1 aristocratic family in the Yulong continent, the Huyan family. Yunjian uttered the words softly and slowly. A sharp glint flashed in her deep eyes as a sharp, murderous intent flashed in an unknown corner. Young master, are we going to the Yulong continent? Emo-sen suddenly frowned. He looked sideways at Ce and asked solemnly. Pack up. We'll leave in 3 days. Ce relaxed his brows slightly, but the seriousness on his face did not diminish. I'll go too. For some reason, Yunjian could not let go of the witch tribe. Okay. Ce had no objection to Yunjian going with him, because he had enough strength to protect her. Send a helicopter to pick us up at the Min City Military Academy in 3 days. Ce looked at Yunjian and said to Emo-senator, he would not return to the Enhun organization in these 3 days. He wanted to accompany Yunjian to the Min City Military Academy. Yes, Emo-san replied solemnly when he heard that Ce was going to the Yulong continent. Ce did not believe that something had happened to Adam in the Yulong continent. Even if something did happen, it wouldn't be life-threatening. In other words, as one of his 4 great protectors, how could Adam be persecuted by a mere aristocratic family of Yulong mainland? Of course, going to Yulong mainland was purely because he understood her. Yunjian would definitely go to the Yulong continent. Ce believed that she would go to the Yulong continent no matter if she was once the sorcerer goddess or the current her. Because the shaman tribe had once been her only hope for survival. It was a sudden decision to return to Yulong mainland. Ce intended to let Emo-san and Shuang accompany her. Last time it was Adam and Masen. The Enhun organization couldn't be without people. It was enough to leave Lin Wei alone in the organization. I'm staying with Qingyu, Jejia in Longmen City. Si Luo finally spoke up meekly, and turned her gaze to Yunjian, as if wanting Yunjian to put in a word for her. Because Shuang refused. Indeed, the moment Si Luo finished speaking, Shuang grabbed Si Luo's hand, and smelled the minty scent on Si Luo's body. No, you have to come with me. But if it weren't for me, you wouldn't be injured so badly. I can't hurt you anymore. I won't go. I'll stay in Longmen City with Qingyu Jejia. Si Luo blamed herself, because Shui Ying's injury this time was her fault. Si Luo tried to break free from Shui Ying's grip, tears streaming down her cheeks at the thought of Shui Ying's injury. Let her stay in Longmen City with Qingyu. She won't run away, Yunjian said softly when she saw the situation. The trip to Yulong mainland this time was not safe. Si Luo was just an ordinary girl. If she went along, Shuang would have to protect her. Si Luo was aware of this as well, which was why she refused to go. She did not want to be a burden to him. She would rather be the one injured. All right. Shuang relented at once at Yunjian's persuasion. Chapter 1551. Si Luo looked up at Shuang. She actually wanted to ask if she could stay with Sister Qingyu forever. However, when she opened her mouth, Si Luo recalled that she had asked this before, and was dragged away by Shuang every time. Si Luo gulped and nodded in the end. She did not ask the question that was in her heart. She felt that when Shuang came back and realized that she had been staying with Qingyu for so long, she must make it clear to him that she did not want to stay with him anymore. She was a girl. It was not good for her to stay with a guy like him. Yes, she would make it clear to Shuang when he came back. Early the next morning, Ce and Yunjian went to Min City's military academy. They did not depart to Yulong mainland directly, because they wanted to catch the Huyan family off guard. This was Ce's first time coming to Min City's military academy since school started. However, with Ce's age, the school could only arrange for him to be promoted to Senior 3. "I'll look for you in the afternoon," Ce said softly to Yunjian as they walked to the teaching building. Yunjian nodded. Ce then turned around with his hands in his pockets lazily as he made his way to the Year 3 classroom. It was only then that Yunjian went to her classroom. Linwan did not know that Yunjian had gone to the toilet when she revealed her identity in Country H's palace. Linwan had no idea what had happened in Country H when she saw Yunjian coming in from the classroom door. She quickly waved at Yunjian and smiled brightly. "Yunjian, you're here for school. I told Muing about our trip to Country H 2 days ago. It was fun, wasn't it?" Linwan was not in Country H's palace at that time. She had gone to the toilet, so she did not see Country H's Queen Marcia's face. Therefore, in Linwan's eyes, she thought that Marcia and Richard, the Queen of H Kingdom, were quite friendly. Yunjian didn't explain much. She just nodded her head in agreement with Linwan. No matter what Marcia and Richard had done before, since Linwan was not present at that time, it would be good to leave a good impression on her. For someone who didn't know the truth, there was no need to let her know the truth. Sometimes, knowing the truth wouldn't do any good. Muing had already returned to the Min Military Academy. Since Mad Dragon had returned to the Kosha mercenaries, there was no point for her to continue staying at home. "Yunjian, come to the office." Just as the class was bustling with noise and excitement, before the class officially started, their homeroom teacher, Mr. Chu, stood at the front door of the classroom and waved to Yunjian. After Ms. Chu called Yunjian, she went back to her office. When the surrounding students saw that their homeroom teacher came to the classroom and called Yunjian to the office personally, they were all in an uproar. "Oh my God, the homeroom teacher came to the classroom personally to call Yunjian. Yunjian, did you do something that annoyed the homeroom teacher? Hurry up and go to the office. Don't get scolded if you're late." Usually, nothing good happened in the office, so the students naturally thought so. Linwan also looked at Yunjian in confusion. In the end, for Yunjian's sake, she also said to Yunjian, "Yunjian, hurry up and go to the office." Yunjian nodded. She turned and walked out of the classroom, under the gaze of the whole class. Walking along the corridor to the office, Yunjian saw more than 10 students standing in the office. However, Yunjian had never seen these students before. She guessed that they must be second or third-year students. Moreover, these students were all boys. This row of boys stood in the office with their heads slightly lowered. They looked very similar to boys who were punished for making a mistake. Just as Yunjian walked into the office, Ms. Chu waved at Yunjian. "Yunjian, come. Everyone's here. Hurry up and come over." Although Yunjian had her doubts, she still followed her. At this moment, Ms. Chu cleared her throat and said, It's like this. There are more than 10 high school military schools like Min City Military School all over the country. This year's new semester has just begun. All the high school military schools in the country are planning to send their strongest students to participate in a friendly competition. This friendly competition is a competition of strength. Of course, since more than 10 military schools are sending their strongest students to participate in the competition, we have to get a good ranking, right? As for you guys, you are the strongest students selected by our school. Because this competition notice is a little rushed, you have to pack your bags and participate in the competition this afternoon. If you guys don't have any objections, then it's decided. Just as Ms. Chu finished speaking, the boys standing around expressed that they had no objections. These boys were seniors from the second and third years of high school, but they had never seen Yunjian before. In the past, there were more than 10 high school military schools in the country every year. However, those who were qualified to participate were usually male students. Moreover, they were definitely not new first-year students. Therefore, one of the boys looked at Yunjian a few times. In the end, he couldn't help but look at Yunjian with a questioning gaze. He said to Ms. Chu, "Ms. Chu, I have no objections to the others. This girl is a first-year student, right? Our school has never sent a girl to participate in such a large-scale friendly competition. Moreover, she's a first-year student." Chapter 1552. There were about a dozen military schools for high school students in the country. There weren't many military schools for high school students, but there were many military schools for university students. Min City Military School was a military school for high school students. There were only a dozen military schools for high school students like Min City Military School in the country. Normally, these military academies would send out their strongest students every year to participate in the friendly competition between the military academies of the high school age group. This was something that everyone in Min City Military School knew. However, there had never been a girl among the strongest students in the school who could participate in the friendly competition in the past. Moreover, the school usually wouldn't send freshmen to participate in such a friendly competition. Freshmen were students who had just entered high school and hadn't participated in the school's training. To put it bluntly, freshmen hadn't been trained and were no different from ordinary high school students. Unless the school was stupid, they definitely wouldn't send freshmen to participate in such a friendly competition. Therefore, the moment this boy finished speaking, the other boys protested. "That's right, teacher. We don't have any other opinions. You're asking a girl to participate in a friendly competition, and she's still a freshman. If she drags us down, we won't even have a place to cry. That's right. Teacher, you can't do this to us." These male students were all from the second and third year of high school. More importantly, these male students had participated in the same friendly competition as this one. Therefore, they were very concerned about whether they won the friendly competition or not. "Stop making noise. What are you guys doing?" Teacher Chu first knocked the heads of the dozen or so male students one by one, and then snorted softly. Then Mr. Chu cleared his throat and said to the dozen or so male students, "Compared to Yunjian, it's still not certain who's better. Moreover, this friendly competition will last for 3 days. On the first and second day of these 3 days, the organizers will bring you guys to a bodyguard company for training. That bodyguard company is a big company that's famous all over the world. There are many experienced bodyguards in it. When the time comes, the bodyguards of their bodyguard company will point out your weaknesses one by one, and then correct them. The friendly competition will only be held on the last day of the 3 days. After Teacher Chu said this, he successfully attracted the attention of the dozen or so male students to other places. 2 days before the competition, we'll be sent to a bodyguard company for training? Teacher, the bodyguard company you're talking about, is it the world-famous Cheetah Bodyguard Company? As soon as Teacher Chu finished speaking, a male student immediately asked in a surprised and crazy voice. After this male student finished his question, another male student answered in a shocked voice, "What's wrong with you? Cheetah Bodyguard Company? Isn't that a world-famous bodyguard company? I heard that Cheetah Bodyguard Company's bodyguards were formed after they retired from the top special forces from various countries. Moreover, the bodyguards of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company are all experts who have faced off against some of the top international assassins and secret agents. It's just like in movies, they're really amazing." After this boy finished speaking, the other boys were 10 male-cheeked. "That's right. The bodyguard company you're going to for training is the Cheetah Bodyguard Company." Finally, under the expectant gazes of more than a dozen male students, Mr. Chu nodded. Chapter 1553. In the end, under the eager gazes of the male students, Mr. Chu forced a smile and waved his hand, indicating that the students could return to the classroom first. "Go back to the classroom first. Gather at the field after lunch. In the afternoon, there will be a car to send you to Cheetah Bodyguard Company to meet with the students from the other military schools." After Mr. Chu said that, the male students turned around and left the office in groups of 2 or 3. Yun Jian, wait a minute. Mr. Chu called out to Yun Jian when the male students turned around and left the office. Yun Jian turned her head sideways and looked up at Mr. Chu. Although it's a friendly competition, the school knows what you're capable of. The school wants you to try your best to get first place in this friendly competition. It might be a little difficult. How confident are you? Mr. Chu asked Yun Jian. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. For some reason, Mr. Chu felt nervous for a moment. In the next second, Yun Jian suddenly broke into a smile and said confidently, I'll win. Seeing Yun Jian return to the classroom from the office, Lin Wan was worried that Yun Jian had been called to the office by the homeroom teacher and was scolded. Seeing Yun Jian's relaxed and nonchalant expression, Lin Wan could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. She's probably been scolded by the teacher. How long is she pretending to be calm? Slashing God from Team Monarch? I think she's just SOSO. Lin Shuya, who had always been at odds with Yun Jian, sat with a few other girls in the class and used exaggerated words to provoke Yun Jian. Ever since Yun Jian stole the limelight, Lin Shuya had been displeased with Yun Jian. However, Yun Jian had never bothered with Lin Shuya. In the last class in the morning, after the teacher announced the end of class, Yun Jian had just stood up when she heard a few girls in the classroom holding their faces and screaming. They were screaming so loudly that their bodies were trembling violently. Who's that guy? He's so handsome. Oh my God. Too handsome. Is he from our school? Why haven't I seen him in school before? The girls in the class screamed. Yun Jian didn't need to think to know that it was CE. If it was an ordinary high school boy, hearing so many girls screaming at him, he would have already flown into the air. However, CE was different. No matter how pretty or seductive the girls around him were, he only had eyes for Yun Jian. The people sitting around him were just a mass of air. CE walked directly into Yun Jian's classroom in front of everyone. He then reached out his slender hand to grab Yun Jian's small hand and let her out. This scene made Lin Shuya so envious that she almost shouted out loud. CE dragged Yun Jian to the vice principal's office in Min City Military Academy. At this moment, the vice principal was combing his bald head. The vice principal was facing the mirror and using the comb to comb the few remaining strands of hair in the center of his head. As he carefully combed his hair, he accidentally lost another strand of hair. Oh my God, my hair. If this goes on, I'm going to become bald. The vice principal sorrowfully held up the strand of hair that he had accidentally combed. He pinched the strand of hair with his fingertips and tried to put it back on his head. Bang! Before the vice principal could put the strand of hair back on his head, the door was suddenly kicked open, making a loud noise. The vice principal's hand slipped, and he accidentally stuffed the strand of hair into his mouth. Oh my God, a pooey pooey pooey. Pooey pooey pooey. He almost swallowed the strand of hair. The vice principal spat several mouthfuls of saliva before spitting out the strand of hair. Just as he came back to his senses, he saw a handsome man holding a girl's hand standing in front of him. I also want to participate in the friendly competition. He saw the handsome man walk in front of him and spit out these words. The vice principal raised his head and suddenly saw that the door to his office not far away had been broken by the handsome man's kick. The door had flown directly into his office. Seeing this, the vice principal was so scared that his butt slipped and he almost fell off his seat. Chapter 1554. The vice principal had already slid to the ground. He gripped his desk tightly to prevent himself from falling on his butt. The vice principal was a funny person. He usually played around with his classmates and had a lot of fun. The only drawback was that he was bald and had very little hair. The vice principal of Min City Military Academy was usually not in the school. So many things were decided by the vice principal. At this moment, the vice principal was so shocked by CE's actions that his face turned red and purple. You, which class are you two from? This, you guys are holding hands, you guys. You two, oh my God. Did you two come to my office to show off your love? Don't you know that I've been catching couples in school these past few weeks? The vice principal didn't pay attention to Siyi's words. His attention was attracted by Siyi and Yunjian's tightly held hands. The school had a rule that stated that dating was not allowed. During this period, the vice principal had been patrolling around the school to catch couples who didn't follow the school rules. In the end, Siyi and Yunjian did it. What did they do? They held hands and ran to his office to show off their love? Are you kidding me? The vice principal stood up with a hand on his chest. He had lived for so many years, and had been the vice principal for so many years. This was the first time he saw a couple in school showing off their love in his office. Old man, I'll say it again. I'm also participating in the friendly match this afternoon. Siyi ignored the vice principal's words and said directly, What? You want to participate in the friendly match this afternoon? Which class are you two from? What's your name? I'll deduct points from your class. Io, how dare you call me an old man? Although I'm really an old man, you're bullying me. The vice principal said as he stroked his chest, looking as though he had been dealt a heavy blow. Siyi. He only said his name. Okay. Siyi, right? I'll remember it. You're still calling me an old man. I'll remember it and deduct points. What? Siyi. Your name is Siyi. When the vice principal said the first half of the sentence, he was still looking for the booklet on his desk to record the weekly demerit points. However, he suddenly realized that the second half of the sentence was actually a cry of surprise. You said your name is Siyi? The vice principal was so shocked that he almost bit his own tongue. He stared at Siyi in shock. Siyi didn't say a word as she tossed her student ID to the vice principal. The vice principal opened it and glanced at it. He almost fainted. The principal of Min City's military academy had warned him repeatedly that no matter who he offended, he should never offend a student named Siyi. Give him whatever he wants. Otherwise, the Min City Military Academy would be finished. In the afternoon, right after lunch, Siyi helped Yunjian carry her school bag. There were some of her clothes in the bag, and the two of them walked to the sports field. The boys whom she had met in the office just now were already standing there waiting for her. When they saw Yunjian, their faces darkened. They looked at her as if they were certain that Yunjian would be a burden. When they saw Siyi, one of the male students who had previously mentioned Yunjian shouted, You're a transfer student. Why are you here? This male student was Siyi's classmate. His name was Wang Kuan. Wang Kuan was the strongest male student in the third year of high school, so he was very confident and felt that he was great. When he saw Siyi, Wang Kuan couldn't believe his eyes. How could a transfer student like Siyi, who only had a good appearance, join the friendly match this time? Siyi didn't respond. Ahem. There's a new student. Everyone get ready to set off. The bus is here. Teacher Chu was the teacher in charge, so he coughed lightly and urged everyone. Chapter 1555. Wang Kuan's words immediately gained the approval of the other male students. That's right. What's wrong with the school this year? Not only did they get a female freshman to participate in the friendly competition, they even allowed a transfer student to participate. Now, we don't even know if the transfer student is strong or weak. The school is really too much. Another male student said, Wang Kuan, aren't you the strongest in our school? When we reach the cheetah bodyguard company later, they will definitely know what fear is. You have to do what you did last year and bring glory to our school. Then, you have to bring us back with the third place among all the military academies. A male student standing beside Wang Kuan patted Wang Kuan's shoulder and said confidently, Of course, last year, I brought everyone to third place among all the military academies. This year, I will definitely bring everyone back with the second place among all the military academies. Wang Kuan gestured confidently. Last year, Min City Military Academy only got third place among all the military academies. Last year, it was also Wang Kuan who led the team, because Wang Kuan was indeed strong. After all, there were more than a dozen military academies participating in the friendly competition. Getting third place was already impressive enough. Today, when they heard Wang Kuan say that he was confident of getting second place among all the military academies, the dozen male students were all fired up. One must know that there were more than a dozen military academies participating in the friendly competition. To get second place was definitely considered outstanding. As for getting first place among all the military academies, this was something that they did not even need to think about. It was definitely impossible. Why did they say that? The answer was very simple. Among these dozen military academies, there was a school called Taiji Military Academy, whose students were quite strong. How strong were they? In the friendly competition every year, Taiji Military Academy always got first place without any suspense. Therefore, Wang Kuen's thoughts of getting first place were immediately dispelled. To be able to get second place was already very, very impressive for Wang Kuen's group. Wang Kuen's group of male students talked confidently, working hard to get second place among all the military academies. However, this group of people did not know that just now in the office, Yun Jian had already promised Teacher Chu that she would definitely win if she got first place among all the military academies. While they were talking, Yun Jian CE and the others had already boarded the long-distance bus to the airport. After transferring from the airport, they finally arrived at Pu City in He Province after a 2-hour flight. He Province was far away from Zhe Province, but it only took 2 hours by plane. The Cheetah Bodyguard Company was located in Pu City, He Province. After getting off the plane, they took a bus and arrived at the Cheetah Bodyguard Company. The headquarters of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company was located in a tall building. As soon as Yun Jian, CE, and the others entered, Wang Kuen and the others couldn't help but exclaim. As expected of Cheetah Bodyguard Company, this place is too luxurious. Oh my God! Our 2 days of training will be here. Just thinking about it makes me excited. While Wang Kuen and the rest were shouting, they were already brought to the lobby of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company. There was a group of people standing in the hall. It was not hard to tell that these people were some of the strongest students from different military academies. At a glance, the people standing in the hall were all men. There were 1 or 2 girls. More than a dozen military academies had chosen their strongest students to participate in this competition. In total, there were more than 100 people here. More than 100 people, but there were only 1 or 2 girls. It could be seen that this was a battlefield for men. If a girl appeared here, she would only be looked down upon. Yo, if I'm not wrong, you're students from Min City Military Academy, right? TSK, what's wrong? You couldn't beat our super godly military academy last year and got 3rd place. This year is even more impressive. You even brought girls to participate in the competition? You want to beat our super godly military academy? TSK, dream on. Chapter 1556. Lin Zigua. Just you wait. We will definitely surpass you this year. Wang Kuen and the others clenched their fists in anger when they heard the malicious words of the boy who walked up to them. The boy who came up to speak with bad intentions was called Lin Zigua. Lin Zigua was a student from the Super Godly Military Academy. In last year's friendly competition, Taiji Military Academy won 1st place. 2nd place was Super Godly Military Academy. 3rd place was Min City Military Academy. Last year, Wang Kuen's team almost got 2nd place, but they were overtaken by Lin Zigua's team at the last moment. After that, every time they met Lin Zigua, Wang Kuen's team would be mocked and ridiculed. As time went by, grudges were formed. TSK, what can you use to surpass us? This little girl? Do you want to surpass our super godly military academy with this little girl? Ha. Ha ha ha, don't be too funny. I think there's no one in your school. I'm dying of laughter. Ha ha ha. It's really too funny. You're kidding me. Lin Zigua suddenly pointed at Yun Jian. He looked at Yun Jian and laughed at Wang Kuen and the rest. A girl dares to participate in such a large-scale friendly competition? What kind of joke is this? This girl looks skinny and weak. She doesn't have any strength at all. Min City Military Academy might not even be able to keep 3rd place this year. Pfft. Wang Kuen and the rest gritted their teeth in anger. Just then, Ce suddenly slapped away Lin Zigua's hand that was pointing at Yun Jian. His cold eyes reflected a sharp murderous intent. Point at her again and I'll cut your head off. Normal people wouldn't emit such a terrifying aura. Lin Ziguo was suddenly frightened by Si Yi's gaze, and immediately shut his mouth. You just wait and see," Lin Ziguo said as he ran away. Si Yi's aura surprised Wang Kuan and the rest, but they did not say much when they recovered from the shock. Gather, gather. The instructor clapped his hands and signaled for everyone to quiet down. This is our Cheetah Bodyguard Company's chief bodyguard, Lin Kuei. He used to be one of the strongest special forces soldiers in the world. After he retired, he became our Cheetah Bodyguard Company's chief bodyguard. He once completed 9 extremely dangerous SS-level missions with outstanding results, apprehended the world's top assassin, and captured an agent ranked 9th on the International Secret Agent ranking. He has participated in 21 international criminal gang arrest missions. His strength is one of the best in the world, let alone in Z country. The next 2 days of training will be led by our Cheetah Bodyguard Company's chief bodyguard, Lin Kuei. After the instructor finished speaking, more than 100 students from different military academies turned their gazes to this chief bodyguard called Lin Kuei. Lin Kuei was 1.9 meters tall. His muscular body and firm chest made people feel intimidated just by looking at him from afar. When Lin Kuei heard that the instructor had given him the responsibility, he stood up. "Hello everyone, I'm Lin Kuei. I'll be leading you for the next 2 days. In order to not let anyone doubt my strength, the instructor will draw a student's name from the lucky draw box over there to fight with me. The paper in this lucky draw box has the names of all the students present. If the student who is drawn can withstand 1 attack from me, I swear that I will never call myself the chief bodyguard again," Lin Kuei said confidently. The instructor beside him immediately drew a piece of paper from the lucky draw box under everyone's gaze. Then, under everyone's expectant gaze, he announced the name on the paper, Yun Jian. Why did this name sound like a girl's? The surrounding people were stunned. It was only when Yun Jian walked towards Lin Kuei that the surrounding students widened their eyes in shock. Why did he draw a girl? This girl was so thin and weak. She wanted to fight Lin Kuei? What kind of joke was this? Even Lin Kuei was stunned for a moment. When Lin Kuei came back to his senses, he coughed lightly and said to Yun Jian, who was walking towards him, "Ahem, since you've drawn a little girl, you win if you can touch the corner of my shirt." Lin Kuei obviously wanted to give in to Yun Jian. "No need," Yun Jian shouted from the other side. After saying that, Yun Jian spoke again in the next second. Wang Kuan, who was standing in the distance, and everyone around him suddenly widened their eyes. Chapter 1557. When Yun Jian said such arrogant words, Lin Kuei, who was standing not far away from her, was stunned. The surrounding students from military academies from all over the country were all stunned. When they heard about Lin Kuei's battle record, all the male students were already excited. Lin Kuei was a special forces soldier who had dealt with international criminals. He had even captured the 9th on the International Secret Agent list alive. This kind of capital and ability was enough to scare any student present. Therefore, everyone present was 100% confident in Lin Kuei's ability. However, at this time, the person who was chosen to represent everyone was actually a girl. When they found out about this, all the boys were already certain that Yun Jian would not be able to survive 1 move from Lin Kuei, because Lin Kuei's battle record was there for all to see. Therefore, when Lin Kuei said that if Yun Jian could touch the corner of his shirt, it would be her win, this sentence made the surrounding boys' blood boil. Lin Kuei was indeed the chief bodyguard of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company. His words were so domineering, so cool. However, before the surrounding people could react, Yun Jian had already spoken. She actually said to Lin Kuei that the person who could not survive 1 move from her was him. For a moment, there was a deathly silence, and then a roar of laughter rang out. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter. Ha ha ha. What did she say? She actually said that the person who could not survive 1 move from her was Lin Kuei? Did she not listen to Lin Kuei's battle record? Lin Kuei's ability is enough to kill her in seconds. She's also a girl. Ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter. I'm dying of laughter. The person who was laughing was Lin Zigua from the Super Godly Military Academy. As a student of the Super Godly Military Academy, Lin Zigua had always been in a hostile state with the Min City Military Academy. Today, with Yin Jian's performance, Lin Zigua had found a way to mock the Min City Military Academy, so he took the lead to jeer. Immediately, other people followed suit, and for a moment, there was only laughter left. Ce stood not far away with a calm expression. Although he was as calm as a mountain, he had already memorized every face that mocked Yin Jian, and planned to throw them out after the friendly competition. Cough. Little girl, it's not that I, Lin Kuei, am looking down on you, but you're a girl. I'm really afraid of hurting you. Lin Kuei finally opened his mouth. He first coughed lightly before speaking. He paused for a moment before continuing. I'm sorry. How about this? You go down and get someone else to come up. If you can even touch the corner of my clothes within 3 moves, I'll consider it my loss. Before Lin Kuei could finish his sentence, he saw Yin Jian suddenly dash in front of him. Lin Kuei's pupils suddenly contracted. Before he could finish his sentence, Yin Jian had already launched her attack. Yin Jian's speed was simply too fast. In a flash, she was already beside him. When Lin Kuei saw this, his pupils constricted. He immediately realized that Yin Jian, the little girl in front of him, was no ordinary person. However, just as Lin Kuei reacted extremely quickly and made a defensive gesture, Yin Jian, who was already beside him, wrapped her hands around his arm like a snake's body. Yin Jian pulled Lin Kuei's arm forward. At the same time, she lifted her leg and kicked Lin Kuei in the abdomen. In the next second, in front of everyone, Yin Jian's 1.6-meter skinny body directly kicked the 1.9-meter tall big guy and sent him flying. This entire process only took a mere 3 seconds. When the students in the distance saw this scene, their bodies violently straightened. In the next second, their pupils contracted and their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. Lin Kuei was an astonishing existence who had once captured the 9th-ranked agent on the International Secret Agent rankings alive. As for Yin Jian, she was just an ordinary female student. She actually defeated Lin Kuei? One move. How was this possible? At this moment, they heard Yin Jian's heavenly voice again. Her voice carried a hint of indifference. Chapter 1558. Yin Jian's words reached the ears of Wang Kuan, Lin Zigua, Lin Kuei, and the rest who had looked down on Yin Jian for being a girl. There was only one thing that could be said about the fight just now. Regardless of whether it was Wang Kuan who came from Min City Military Academy like Yin Jian, Lin Zigua who was an enemy of Min City Military Academy, or Lin Kuei, the chief bodyguard of Cheetah Bodyguard Company. The most similar thing about them was that they looked down on Yin Jian. They looked down on Yin Jian because she was a girl. Yin Jian's move just now was a direct slap to their faces. Lin Kuei, who got up from the ground, was in a state of shock. How confident he was just now was how pathetic he was now. In front of so many people, he was sent flying by Yin Jian's kick without any mercy. Little girl, where did you learn that move just now? The surrounding people were completely petrified. Only Lin Kuei got up from the ground pathetically and looked at Yin Jian in a daze. Yin Jian's move just now gave him a sense of déjà vu self-taught. Yin Jian stood coldly on the spot, pursed her red lips and said calmly, "That move. I think I've seen it somewhere before. Where was it?" Lin Kuei scratched his head when he heard that, and fell into a state of recollection. The surrounding people were speechless. Each of them was so shocked by Yin Jian's move that their eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. Wang Kuan was the most terrified among them. Wang Kuan was the strongest person in Min City Military Academy. This was publicly acknowledged by the Min City Military Academy. Hence, when he first saw Yin Jian, Wang Kuan had a feeling that he was superior. In addition, Wang Kuan looked down on girls. In Wang Kuan's mind, what use could a girl be? Other than being a burden, a girl was useless. Other than showing off his prowess in front of the girls, and receiving a few screams of "Wow, you're so powerful," which gave him great satisfaction. What's the use of girls? Especially when they found out that Yin Jian was still a freshman in high school. Wang Kuan and the others only looked at Yin Jian with contempt. A female freshman wanted to represent Min City Military Academy in such a large-scale friendly competition? Was she here to drag him down? Therefore, at the beginning, Wang Kuan and the others despised Yun Jian as much as they could with Yun Jian. But until just now, Yun Jian's strength had completely overturned everyone's understanding. Wang Kuan even thought that even 10 of him wouldn't be a match for Yun Jian's move. Ce had already walked to Yun Jian's side in front of everyone. He pulled Yun Jian into his embrace in front of everyone, as though he was declaring his sovereignty over her. After Ce pulled Yun Jian into his arms, he stroked her hair that was slightly swaying in the breeze. He was silent for 2 seconds before speaking softly to Yun Jian in front of everyone. I won't allow anyone to look down on you. Otherwise, I'll kill them without mercy. In the lobby of Cheetah Bodyguard Company, a strong beam of sunlight shone in through the huge floor-to-ceiling window. The sunlight shone on Yun Jian and Ce, as though they were the only 2 people left in the world. Their matching figures made Ce and Yun Jian seem to be more than just a handsome man and a beautiful woman. Lin Kuei's enlightened voice rang while the people around them stared at Yun Jian and Ce in bewilderment. What he said in the next second made everyone's jaws drop. I remember now. I'll never forget this skill for the rest of my life. 3 years ago, I took part in an operation to capture the #1 agent on the International Secret Agent ranking, slaying God. During that operation, I fought against the #1 agent on the International Secret Agent ranking, slaying God. Her strength was so amazing that I didn't even have a 0.0000001 chance of winning. Chapter 1559. Lin Kuei had a nagging feeling that he had seen Yun Jian's skills before, but he could not recall it no matter how hard he racked his brain. Just now, Lin Kuei had seen Ce wrap his arm around Yun Jian. The way they matched each other, it was as if the people around them were ants while they were kings and deities who saved them from torment. 2 words appeared in Lin Kuei's mind when he saw this scene. King. Yun Jian's ability. King. Lin Kuei had only faced one person in his entire life who had the ability of a king. That person was the #1 on the International Secret Agent ranking, slaying God. That was a terrifying existence that made one's fingertips go numb from fear. Lin Kuei's earlier words popped up in his mind. He thought about it and said it out loud. The ability that Yun Jian had displayed earlier was beyond what a military high school student should be capable of. Instead, it was very similar to the terrifying existence in his memory. Lin Kuei was shocked as well. He was now in a state of stupor. Lin Kuei was shocked. However, at this moment, after hearing Lin Kuei's words, the shocked expressions of the surrounding students could no longer be described with words. The #1 on the International Secret Agent ranking, slaying God? What kind of existence was that? That was an existence that struck terror into the hearts of others. Just the mere mention of this name was enough to make one tremble in fear. Most of the students present were from military schools all over the country. They were the most ordinary students in the military schools. The #1 on the International Secret Agent ranking, slaying God, that Lin Kuei mentioned, was an existence that no one present dared to imagine. That was a shocking and frightening existence. Therefore, when Lin Kuei mentioned that he had faced the #1 on the International Secret Agent ranking, slaying God, and that slaying God's skills were on par with Yun Jian's, all the students around, including the instructors who were standing at the side, were shocked beyond words. The #1 on the International Secret Agent ranking, slaying God? Slaying God's skills are on par with hers? Is this for real? Lin Ziguo was so scared that he couldn't be described as shocked. His eyes were wide open as he stared at the scene in front of him. He was the first to ask in shock. Everyone snapped back to their senses as soon as he said that. Their sharp eyes stared at Yun Jian, as if they were waiting for Yun Jian's reply. Yun Jian's eyes flashed when she saw that everyone was looking at her. If I'm the #1 on the International Secret Agent ranking, slaying God, do you think you can still stand in front of me and talk to me? Yun Jian's indifferent voice was heard as she spoke softly. Yun Jian's nonchalant voice seemed to have a magical power. Her words made everyone present feel at ease all of a sudden. It was undeniable that Ci had taught Yunjian how to lie. She said slang as she spoke. The people around them were at a loss when they heard what Yunjian said. That's right. Slaying God doesn't look like you. I'm probably being too sensitive. Cough. Lin Kuei suddenly reacted. He scratched his head and thought about it. In the end, he felt that Yunjian was right. However, even if you're not slaying God, it's an indisputable fact that you've defeated me earlier. I, Lin Kuei, am willing to admit it. From today onwards, I'll step down from my title as the chief bodyguard. Lin Kuei was a righteous man. He patted himself on the shoulder and calmly said those words. After he finished speaking, the people standing not far away had yet to recover from the shock. Lin Kuei had just finished speaking when he turned to look at Yunjian in front of everyone and said something that shocked everyone. Chapter 1560. Although Lin Kuei looked down on women in the beginning, he was a man who dared to take responsibility for his actions. His strength and talent were on par with each other. When he told Yunjian that he wanted to be her disciple, Lin Kuei's words were full of modesty and humility. When he said that he wanted to be Yunjian's disciple, Lin Kuei didn't feel embarrassed in front of everyone. Although Yunjian was young, Lin Kuei didn't feel that it was shameful for him to want to be Yunjian's disciple. Being shameless was an important reason why Lin Kuei had the strength he had now. Lin Kuei didn't care about the reactions of the people around him. At this moment, Lin Kuei was looking straight at Yunjian. He looked as if he was waiting for Yunjian's reply. Lin Kuei really wanted to get an affirmative answer from Yunjian. However, before Lin Kuei could get the answer he was looking for from Yunjian's mouth, a mellow voice sounded. This magnetic male voice answered for Yunjian first. She won't accept you. Why? Lin Kuei exclaimed immediately. Why wouldn't Yunjian accept him? Because I won't allow it. Ci's flat voice sounded, causing Lin Kuei to be dazed for a moment. Ci's handsome face attracted attention wherever he went. Lin Kuei had already noticed Ci when Ci reached out to hug Yunjian. Who are you to her? It's her choice whether to accept a disciple or not. Who are you to make the decision for her? Lin Kuei didn't have a good impression of Ci's tyranny. Lin Kuei believed that everyone had the right to make their own choices. Ci was handsome, but who knew if he was a gigolo? A gigolo who only had looks but no strength? Lin Kuei was already in his 40s. He wasn't good-looking, but he was especially popular with girls when he was young. That was because Lin Kuei was strong. He believed that as a man, he could be ugly, but he definitely couldn't be like Ci, who only relied on his looks to attract girls. Therefore, when Ci stood up for Yunjian and rejected him, Lin Kuei was upset. The more Lin Kuei looked at Ci, the more he felt that he was a gigolo. As soon as Lin Kuei finished speaking, Ci's sharp eyes swept over him. His hawk-like sharp eyes stared straight at Lin Kuei. At this moment, Lin Kuei felt as if he was being stared at by the Grim Reaper. Ci grabbed Yunjian's small hand and turned to look at Lin Kuei with a murderous glint in his eyes. This gaze caused Lin Kuei's entire body to tremble. If you dare to pester my woman again, the Cheetah Bodyguard Company will be destroyed because of you. Ci's sharp gaze made Lin Kuei break out in cold sweat. She didn't know why, but the man in front of her clearly looked like a pretty boy. How could he have such sharp eyes? Everyone standing in the distance was dumbfounded, especially Wang Kuan and the others. Wang Kuan and the others were all students from Min City's military academy. The school didn't send them here to let Ci and Lin Kuei quarrel. Moreover, Lin Kuei was the chief bodyguard of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company. The Cheetah Bodyguard Company wasn't weak. Even Min City's military academy had to give them face. But what about Ci? He represented Min City's military academy. In the end, he said such words to Lin Kuei in front of everyone. Wasn't he just looking for trouble? Just as Wang Kuan was about to growl at Ci and tell Ci not to cause trouble, a loud voice beat Wang Kuan to Ci. Let's see who dares to touch my Cheetah Bodyguard Company. When everyone heard this loud voice, they couldn't help but turn their heads. They saw a well-dressed middle-aged man in a formal suit entering the Cheetah Bodyguard Company's main entrance with a group of men dressed as bodyguards behind him. When this well-dressed middle-aged man entered the arena, Everyone turned to look at him. The middle-aged man walked in with a dignified air. Seeing this middle-aged man, even Lin Kuei felt a sense of respect. He lowered his head to the middle-aged man and said, "Chairman." That's right, the middle-aged man who was shouting at CE was the chairman of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company, Wen Jintian. At this moment, Wen Jintian ignored Lin Kuei who was shouting at him. He walked straight to CE. Although he was shorter than CE, he pretended to be domineering and shouted at CE. Chapter 1561. Wen Jintian had just walked in when he heard CE's voice. He actually said that he wanted to destroy the Cheetah Bodyguard Company. Youngsters these days were so young, yet they were so arrogant. Wen Jintian was instantly enraged. Hence, he walked straight in through the main entrance. He didn't even greet Lin Kuei as he directly shouted at CE. When the surrounding people heard Lin Kuei address Wen Jintian as chairman, they all reacted. This was probably the chairman of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company. Everyone had witnessed Yun Jian's capabilities, but in their eyes, CE was just a weak gigolo. Furthermore, Wang Kuan and the others knew that CE was a transfer student. They didn't even know if he had any capabilities. How dare he be so arrogant? And he even said that he wanted to destroy the Cheetah Bodyguard Company? He must be dreaming. How could he destroy the Cheetah Bodyguard Company? Did he think that he was some powerful legendary figure? More importantly, the moment CE said that he wanted to destroy the Cheetah Bodyguard Company, the chairman of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company happened to overhear it. CE must have a death wish if the chairman of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company overheard it. The surrounding people were horrified just by looking at it, let alone CE himself. When the chairman of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company, Wen Jintian, entered the room, it was obvious that he was angered by CE. He didn't even have time to respond to Lin Kuei's greeting before he stared straight at CE and shouted what he had just said. The surroundings were completely silent. Wen Jintian's aura was strong. After he spoke, the students present didn't dare to say another word. Wen Jintian had always been confident in his aura. He turned his head to look at CE. Seeing that CE was indifferent to what he had just said, he couldn't hold it in any longer. He spoke again with a slightly heavy tone. "Which military school are you from? Go back now. Our Cheetah Bodyguard Company doesn't accept gigolos like you. I don't care if young people nowadays use their appearance to put on airs. But in my Cheetah Bodyguard Company's territory, I won't allow you to put on airs in front of me." Wen Jintian wanted to chase them out without a second word. His tone was so tough that even if CE apologized on the spot, he would never forgive him. Chairman, it was his fault just now. Let's see if we can forgive him. I'm sure he won't dare to do it again." The leading teacher of Min City's military academy hurriedly ran to Wen Jintian to beg for forgiveness. The status of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company was one of the best in the world. As for Wen Jintian, as the chairman of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company, the people he dealt with were all international big shots. Therefore, no matter who they provoked, they would never provoke him. Everyone present was well aware of this. However, everyone thought that CE was stupid. He actually said those words in front of Wen Jintian. According to Wen Jintian's personality, he naturally wouldn't forgive CE. Moreover, Wen Jintian was short and ugly. Looking at CE's young and handsome face, Wen Jintian was envious of him, but he wouldn't say it out loud. Young people should be responsible for their words and actions. He has to leave. Wen Jintian glared at CE with his round eyes. "Old man, are you sure?" CE, who was standing opposite him, said coldly with a smirk. "Old man, are you sure?" "Old man? What? You called me old man? Which military school are you from? Let me tell you, you're expelled from your military school. How dare you call me old man?" When Wen Jintian heard CE's words, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Not only did he plan to force CE to leave his Cheetah Bodyguard Company, but he also planned to use his influence to force CE to be expelled from Min City's military academy. In everyone's eyes, CE's actions were completely suicidal. Was he stupid? How dare he challenge Wen Jintian? Wen Jintian was a tough person. If someone said something wrong in front of him, Wen Jintian was the kind of person who wouldn't forgive them, even if they were beaten to death. Just when everyone thought that CE was doomed for provoking Wen Jintian, a loud male voice suddenly came from the entrance. Then, Shui Ying's figure appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Chapter 1562. Shui Ying strolled in from the entrance of Cheetah Bodyguard Company. His shoes made a shiny sound as they rubbed against the smooth floor. His words were heard by every student, the chairman of Cheetah Bodyguard Company, Wen Jintian, and all the bodyguards. Everyone shuddered in fear. The students might not know what kind of existence an Hun organization was. To them, organizations like an Hun organization and kosher mercenaries didn't have much of an idea. Perhaps some of them had heard of them. However, to the chairman of Cheetah Bodyguard Company, Wen Jintian, who had been trying to curry favor with an Hun organization and gain some benefits from them, this was fatal news. Wen Jintian obviously knew Shui Ying. After hearing Shui Ying's words, he and Lin Kuei both looked at CE in fear. Young master? Then you are. Wen Jintian's mouth was full of shock. His pupils shrank as he stared at CE. Watch your mouth. If you say another word, Cheetah Bodyguard Company will be put on an Hun organization's must-kill list. Shui Ying shouted at Wen Jintian. This shout scared Wen Jintian so much that he shut his mouth. An Hun organization's must-kill list. What was a must-kill list? Any person or organization that was put on an Hun organization's must-kill list would be hunted down by an Hun organization. An Hun organization had so many world-class secret agents and assassins. Any person or organization that was put on an Hun organization's must-kill list would be hunted down by an Hun organization until their death was confirmed. Throughout history, no one had ever escaped the pursuit of an Hun organization's must-kill list. Without exception, they would all die. Therefore, an Hun organization's must-kill list had always been a taboo for the international bigwigs. Shui Ying's shout had succeeded in making Wen Jintian tremble. Seeing Wen Jintian take a step back, Shui Ying didn't have the time to chat with him. He strode toward CE and whispered something in CE's ear. CE's gaze sharpened. In the next second, he pulled Yunjian's hand and walked out. Hey, you, what are you going to do? The teacher from Min City's military academy exclaimed when he saw CE and Yunjian walking out. We'll take 2 days off and return on time for the friendly match, CE said calmly without turning his head as he held on to Yunjian's hand. The teacher in charge of the Min City Military Academy had no idea what was going on. He opened his mouth, but in the end, he let CE and Yunjian go. Students from military academies all over the country were arranged to train at the Cheetah Bodyguard Company. Their goal was to stand out in the friendly competition on the third day. Yunjian's strength was already on display. Even the chairman of the Cheetah Bodyguard Company feared CE's power. The teacher in charge of the Min City Military Academy didn't dare to stop them. He could only hope that Yunjian and CE would come back as soon as possible. At this moment, CE had already pulled Yunjian's small hand and walked out of the gate with Shui Ying. Shui Ying had only said 7 words to CE. There's an incident in Yulong mainland. Therefore, CE and Yunjian immediately took Shui Ying and Emo's son to Yulong mainland. At this moment, Yulong mainland, the Huyan clan, the #1 aristocratic family of Yulong mainland, was celebrating at this moment. The patriarch of the Huyan clan, Huyan Ba, was standing in front of the Huyan clan's people, looking down at them. Father, the Wu race has been defeated by my Huyan clan. Tomorrow, the Wu race will become the slaves of my Huyan clan. Humph, I think that the legend of the return of the witch god is just empty talk. A 1.55 meters tall man was standing next to Huyan Ba. He looked old and fat. His face was full of indulgence. This man was Huyan Ba's son. His name was Huyan Lei. The legend of the return of the witch god is just a bluff. Humph. The Wu race is just a thing in my palm, Huyan Ba said confidently. Chapter 1563. It was no secret that Huyan Lu was addicted to beauty. Although Huyan Ba hated Huyan Lu's bad habit, he was still his son. So Huyan Ba could only nod. Once the shaman race is dominated by my Huyan clan, you can do whatever you want with the shaman girls. Huyan Ba never cared about these things. All he wanted was to dominate. Back then, when the Morong family was suddenly destroyed by the sorcerer tribe, Huyenba was actually quite worried that the sorcerer god of the sorcerer tribe had returned. However, how could the sorcerer race allow the Huyan clan to sit on the throne of the #1 aristocratic family of the Yulong continent for so long if the sorcerer god of the sorcerer race were to return? Back then, the sorcerer god was extremely powerful. The god of sorcerer had decided that it was impossible for him to tolerate the Huyan clan sitting on the throne of the #1 aristocratic family. The sorcerer god had yet to return. The only possibility was that the sorcerer tribe had already obtained the sandalwood box. It was a sandalwood box that could destroy all the continents in the universe in an instant. However, Huyenba felt his eyelids twitching. He had a bad premonition. As for what this bad premonition was, he didn't know. The next morning, the sky of the Yulong continent was still in the early stages of dawn. However, the sorcerer race's palace had already been destroyed by the powerhouses sent by the Huyan clan. At that moment, the people of the sorcerer tribe were retreating to a mountain behind the sorcerer tribe palace. Patriarch, we can't resist the Huyan clan's attack any longer. What should we do? Where is the sorcerer god? Would the sorcerer god come to his rescue? Will our witch race really be exterminated by the Huyan clan? At the back of the mountain, everyone looked at Wulan, the tribe leader of the sorcerer tribe, and asked a terrifying question. There were many aristocratic families in the Yulong continent. Big aristocratic families like the Huyan clan and the sorcerer race weren't the only ones who were at war. The other small aristocratic families of the Yulong continent were also at war with each other. On the losing side, all the men in the clan would be killed, and the girls and women would become the slaves of the winning side. To put it bluntly, they were prostitutes. This was the eternal principle of the Yulong continent. Most of the members of the sorcerer tribe were women, and all of them were as beautiful as fairies. Outsiders had long been itching for them. As the leader of the sorcerer tribe, Wulan frowned. Lan Su was standing beside him, and Adam was also standing beside Lan Su. As long as I'm here, nothing will happen to you. Adam frowned and said. He had spent some time with Lan Su in the Yulong mainland. Compared to before, he had become much more mature. But as long as Lan Su refused to be with him, Adam would still use his stubborn temper to force Lan Su to be with him. Adam wasn't without confidence when he said this. He was one of the 4 great guardians of the Lord Divine Lord. It was a pity that he had lost all of his spirit power. If he were to forcefully use his spirit power, he could still raise the Yulong mainland to the ground. However, he had lost his previous spiritual power. If he were to forcefully use his spiritual power now, he would never be able to recover it. Therefore, he wouldn't use his spiritual power until the very end. Lan Su's eyes twinkled. Suddenly, the voice of the Huyan clan's patriarch, Huyen Ba, was heard from the opposite side of the mountain. People of the shaman tribe, listen up. If you hand over the sandalwood box obediently, I won't make things difficult for you. But if you don't hand over the sandalwood box, then my Huyan clan won't be soft-hearted. It didn't matter whether the sorcerer tribe obediently handed over the sandalwood box or not. They couldn't escape the fate of becoming prostitutes of the sorcerer tribe. This was the so-called winner-takes-all. Huyen Ba was still shouting from the opposite side. Huyen Sua was rubbing his hands. He couldn't wait to experience the feeling of riding those delicate and tender girls of the sorcerer tribe under his body. Huyen Ba was standing on the opposite side of the mountain. He was looking at the sorcerer tribe. Then, a beautiful female voice was heard from behind him. It sounded like the sound of nature. It made Huyen Ba and all the people of the Huyan clan tremble. How dare you attack my sorcerer tribe while I'm not here? Huyan clan, how dare you? Chapter 1564. When Huyen Ba heard the voice that he had only heard 1,000 years ago, he was so scared that he quickly turned around. However, he saw an unfamiliar girl in short sleeves and long pants standing in front of him. Huyen Ba's brows were tightly knitted together. Thousands of years ago, when the sorcerer god was famous in the Yulong continent, Huyen Ba was still a rascal who was wandering in the Yulong continent. Therefore, Huyen Ba had never seen the sorcerer god at that time. Naturally, Yun Jian's appearance was also unfamiliar to Huyan Ba. Oh, what a beautiful little beauty! Huyan Lu, who was standing next to Huyan Ba, did not know the meaning of Yun Jian's words at all. The moment he saw Yun Jian, his eyes widened. The clothing of the Yulong continent was almost the same as the ancient costumes of Z country. Therefore, in the eyes of Huyan Lu and the others, Yun Jian's short sleeves were extremely revealing. Therefore, just by looking at Yun Jian's tender arms, Huyan Lu felt a certain part of his lower body erect. Huyan Lu felt that just by looking at Yun Jian's tender arms, he could not help himself. If this little beauty was lying under him, tsk, how ecstatic would that be? However, before Huyan Lu could have any thoughts about Yun Jian, Ce, who was standing next to Yun Jian, stretched out his right hand. He raised his slender right palm and grabbed Huyan Lu's face from a distance of more than 10 meters. Pa pa pa. In the next second, a series of explosive sounds were heard. At the back of the mountain, the people of the sorcerer tribe, Wu Lan, Lan Su, Adam, and the people of the Huyan family, including Huyan Ba, were all present. They clearly saw Huyan Lu's eyeballs, who was standing in front of them and staring at Yun Jian. After Ce stretched out his hand and grabbed him, his eyeballs instantly burst. In the next second, there were only 2 small holes where Huyan Lu's eyes used to be. His eyeballs disappeared without a trace. Ah, my eyes! Eyes! Ah! In the next breath, Huyan Lu's painful roar was heard. Huyan Lu fell to the ground and rolled on the ground in pain. This unforeseen event only took 1 second. Ce's attack was so quick that no one there could react in time. Huyan Ba watched his son's eyeballs being crushed by Ce in the air. By the time Huyan Ba reacted, his son, Huyan Lu, had already fallen to the ground and rolled. Initially, Huyan Ba was still considering that Yun Jian's familiar voice sounded very similar to the sorcerer god in the past. Now, however, he could not hold himself back anymore. Those were all people who had already died. Kill him, clan elder. The people of Huyan clan couldn't help but shout. Huyan Ba was the strongest person in Yulong mainland. His spiritual power was second to none. Therefore, the people of Huyan clan were very confident. Even Huyan Ba was confident that no one in Yulong mainland could rival him, as long as the sorcerer god didn't appear. Just as Huyan Ba was 3 meters away from Ce, he had gathered his most powerful spiritual energy and was about to hurl it at Ce to kill him. But Ce was suddenly struck by lightning. The spiritual power that Huyan Ba had gathered in his hand disappeared in the next second under the watchful eyes of the people of Huyan clan. It disappeared. Only the sorcerer god can make an immortal cultivator's spiritual power disappear within 3 meters of him. In the next breath, everyone's eyes widened as they turned to look at Yun Jian in shock. Chapter 1565. Huyan Ba's eyeballs were about to fall out of their sockets. Back then, Huyan Ba was confident that the sorcerer god could not return. Now he was terrified that Yun Jian was the sorcerer god. No, this is impossible. The sorcerer god cannot return. How is this possible? How is it possible for the sorcerer god to return? How is it possible for him to return? At this moment, Huyan Ba was shaking his head frantically. He was shaking his head in horror as he spoke these words. The sorcerer god could not return? Or did it go wrong? Didn't the sorcerer god fall completely? How could the sorcerer god still exist in this world? Are you surprised? When the Huyan clan tried to destroy the sorcerer tribe, it was the time for the Huyan clan to reach a dead end. Today, I will destroy the Huyan clan with my own hands and restore the sorcerer tribe's throne as the #1 family in the Yulong continent. After Yun Jian finished speaking, she took out the god-vanquishing blade that Ce had made for her and held it in her palm. Then, she pointed the god-vanquishing blade at Huyan Ba. When the god-vanquishing blade was held in Yun Jian's hand, the sharp blade emitted a sharp luster. In the next second, the brilliance of the god-vanquishing blade illuminated the whole place. The god-vanquishing blade was a legendary blade. The person who owned it could not only kill an immortal cultivator with a single slash, but more importantly, The person who owned it could even kill the most powerful deities of the gods' continent. It could be said that the person who owned this blade was the master of all the continents. This blade had been in the hands of the Lord Divine Lord since it was born. Ce had given such a treasure to Yunjian. It was as if he had handed over his position as the master of the continent to her. The only deity in the world who could control this god-vanquishing blade was the Lord Divine Lord. After Yunjian finished speaking, the god-vanquishing blade in Yunjian's hand emitted a dazzling light. After the light faded, Huyanba suddenly regained his senses. If his eyeballs were about to fall out a moment ago, then his eyeballs were about to explode at this moment. He stared at the god-vanquishing blade in Yunjian's hand, but in the next second he exclaimed, "The god-vanquishing blade." It was the god-slaying blade. Wasn't the god-vanquishing blade Lord Divine Lord's divine weapon? It's in your hands. Could it be? Huyanba suddenly reacted. Just now, Ce had reached out with her hand at a speed that he couldn't even see with his naked eyes. She had grabbed his son's eyeball and burst it. Just now, Huyanba was overwhelmed by his anger and didn't have time to think about it. The god-vanquishing blade belonged to the Lord Divine Lord. If that was the case, Sir Divine Lord, you're not the Lord Divine Lord. Huyanba stared at Ce and immediately sat down on the ground. Lord Divine Lord. It was said that the Lord God was the ruler of the gods' continent. Huyanba was truly frightened. If the return of the sorcerer god was enough to frighten Huyanba, then the Divine Lord was in existence that Huyanba couldn't even imagine. For example, in Huyanba's eyes, the Divine Lord's identity was like a god in the eyes of earthlings. He was a figure that existed in fantasy. Hence, when he saw the god-vanquishing blade and Ce's strength, Huyanba was shocked. However, Yunjian didn't give Huyanba a rebuttal or a correct answer. She pointed the god-vanquishing blade at Huyanba. She didn't want to give Huyanba a chance, and wanted to end him directly. When you go to hell, you'll know the answer. Yunjian's lips curled up coldly. She waved the god-vanquishing blade. Just as she was about to end Huyanba's life with one slash, suddenly, Huyanba's eyes turned. He knelt in front of Yunjian and Ce and shouted. Chapter 1566. Yunjian had originally planned to use the god-vanquishing blade to kill Huyanba and make him disappear from this world completely. However, she did not expect Huyanba to say such words. Did he know that she and Ce had been looking for traces of the mysterious person? Did he know how to recover the memories of her and Ce when they were the sorcerer god and Sir God? I really know. If I'm lying, it won't be too late for you to kill me then. Huyanba raised 3 fingers and said firmly to Yunjian and Ce. Whether a person was lying or not could be seen from their facial expressions. Huyanba's expression told Yunjian that he was not lying about this. Speak, Ce shouted as he glanced coldly at Huyanba. Although Ce still had the ability he had when he was a Lord Divinity, and had some memories of his time as a Lord Divinity, his memories were only fragments. Regardless of whether Huyanba was telling the truth or not, what if he was telling the truth? At the very least, if what Huyanba said was true, it would be of great help to Yunjian and Ce. Huyanba looked around carefully and said to Yunjian and Ce, "There are too many people here. Let's talk in the cave over there. Shuang, Mo-san, you two go to Adam first." When Ce heard this, he did not turn around. Instead, he turned his handsome face sideways and said softly to Shuang and Mo Sr., "Yes, young master." Shuang and Mo-san responded. Then, the two of them swaggered toward where Adam and the other sorcerer tribe members were. Rather than swaggering, it was better to say that Shuang put his arm around Mo-sen's shoulder and walked over. "You little rascal, how was your time in the Yulong mainland? Was it fun?" As soon as they arrived, Shuang put his arm around Adam's shoulder. He first knocked Adam's head with his hand, then said to Adam with a grin. The scar on Shuaying's neck was horrifying. If this scar was removed, he would undoubtedly be the most handsome among the 4 leaders of Anhun. Of course, even with this terrifying scar, Shuaying's handsome appearance still attracted the attention of a large group of witch tribe girls around him. At this moment, Yun Jian and Ce had already followed Huyen Ba into an empty cave. I'll tell you everything I know as long as you let go of my Huyen clan. Huyen Ba wasn't a fool. He stated his conditions as soon as he entered the cave. Do you think you still have the right to negotiate with us? Yun Jian held the god-slaying blade in her hand. She swung the butterfly blade like god-slaying blade with ease. That way, it would be as if she could accidentally stab the god-slaying blade into Huyen Ba's heart and turn him into ashes. Huyen Ba swallowed his saliva. For the first time, he was speechless in front of a teenage girl. Moreover, this teenage girl was the sorcerer god, who had once dominated the Yulong mainland. I'll tell you. But you have to let go of my Huyen clan after I tell you. Huyen Ba was afraid that Yun Jian and Ce would wait impatiently. So, he paused for a moment after he said this. Then he continued to speak. That was half a year ago. At that time, I went to the central mainland as the patriarch of the #1 family of the Yulong mainland. Then, I accidentally heard a conversation between two mysterious people. Those two mysterious people were wearing black robes. I listened carefully because they mentioned the Lord Divine Lord and the Sorcerer God. Chapter 1567. Lord Divine Monarch, that's a supreme existence. When I was listening to the two mysterious men, I didn't believe them at all. Because what kind of existence is the Lord Divine Lord? How could he use up all his spiritual power, and even go against the way of heaven, to save the Sorcerer God of Yulong continent for the Sorcerer God? That's impossible. But then I thought about it. 1,000 years ago, when the Lord God of Yulong continent came to Yulong continent, he asked if the Sorcerer God was there. Then, the Lord God said that the Sorcerer God wouldn't come. The Lord God asked his protector to kill the Lord God, so I listened carefully at that time. Huyen Ba wanted to continue his nonsense, but Yun Jian didn't let him have his way. Yun Jian took a big step forward and swung the butterfly knife, made from God-vanquishing blade lightly, placing it on Huyen Ba's neck and yelling at him. What are you doing? Get to the point. I'll kill you if you keep talking nonsense. Huyen Ba's eyes turned. He was so scared that his whole body trembled. He quickly begged for mercy. Don't. I'm just laying the foundation. The main point is at the end. Speak. The God-vanquishing blade in Yun Jian's hand pressed coldly against Huyen Ba's neck, inching closer. This time, Huyen Ba didn't dare to talk nonsense. He quickly continued. The two mysterious men said that the Lord God and the Sorcerer God were still alive. They said that they were in a place called Earth. They even sent people to assassinate them. When I heard about this, I also sent people to look for a place called Earth. But they couldn't find that place, so I gave up. I didn't believe that the Sorcerer God was still alive, until just now. Don't, I'll say it. I'll get to the point. Don't. Huyen Ba started to talk nonsense again. He seemed to be stalling for time. However, just as Huyen Ba was about to talk nonsense, Yun Jian moved the God-vanquishing blade closer to his neck. Huyen Ba no longer dared to talk nonsense. He quickly got down to business. I met those two mysterious people in the central continent. If you want to find them, you'll have to go to the central continent. However, I can't guarantee that they're from the central continent. Also, the two mysterious people mentioned something else. That is, if the Divine Lord and the Sorcerer God return, and want to recover their strength and memories, they have to get the sandalwood box. They have to inject powerful spiritual energy into the sandalwood box in order to open it. Legend has it that this sandalwood box is a divine artifact. With it, one can become the ruler of all the continents. Even on the gods' continent, no one is a match for it. After Huyen Ba finished talking about the main point, he began to sigh with emotion. As soon as he finished speaking, Yun Jian interrupted him. Have you finished what you wanted to say? Finished. You. Just as Huyen Ba came back to his senses, he felt a white light flash in front of him. Yun Jian's god-slaying blade had already slit his throat. You're trustworthy. At the moment when he fell, Huyen Ba shouted with all his might. Huyen Ba closed his eyes. The last thing he heard in his life was Yun Jian's cold voice. I never promised to let the Huyen family go. The Huyan family has had enough of the throne of Yulong mainland. It's time to return it to its rightful owner. Huyan Ba was dead. The Huyan family was destroyed. After thousands of years, the sorcerer tribe had regained the throne of Yulong mainland's #1 family. 1,000 years ago, before the sorcerer god fell, he promised that he would return after 1,000 years. Some people said that the sorcerer tribe would prosper with the sorcerer god around. Now, the sorcerer god had returned as promised and led the sorcerer tribe to regain the throne of Yulong mainland's #1 family. Chapter 1568. Witch Tribe Palace. The destruction of the Huyan family represented the rise of the Witch Tribe. At this moment, the Witch Tribe Palace was holding an exciting banquet. Yunjian, Ce, Adam, Shuang, Mo Sun, Lan Su, and Wu Lan did not attend the Witch Tribe's banquet. At this moment, they were sitting in a corner of the backyard of the Witch Tribe Palace. A sandalwood box was placed on the table in front of them. The sandalwood box was not like other antiques. From its appearance, it was bright and beautiful from beginning to end. It did not even give people a sense of age. This was also why Yun Jian could replace the sandalwood box with a high-end imitation. In his previous life, Lang Sha kidnapped Xiao Yunju and forced Yun Jian to hand over the sandalwood box. Yun Jian handed over a high-end imitation, but Lang Sha did not discover that it was an imitation. At this moment, Siyi's hand was on the sandalwood box. Is what Huyan Ba said really feasible? Are we really going to open the sandalwood box now? As the Witch Tribe leader, Wu Lan was still very worried about Yun Jian and Siyi's actions of opening the sandalwood box. It was strange that the sandalwood box had never been opened since it appeared. To open the sandalwood box, one would need powerful spiritual power. Now the only person who could do this was Ce. Open. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and said. Hearing this, Ce injected her powerful spiritual power into the sandalwood box. The sandalwood box on the table shook violently. Then, under everyone's eyes, it opened suddenly, a strong ray of light refracted. The moment the light shone, it seemed to be able to destroy the heavens and the earth. In the next second, Ce and Yun Jian fainted under the strong light. Even Mo Sun, Shuang, and Adam next to them were the same. The memories from 1,000 years ago came flooding back like a tidal wave. You guys! After the light faded, Lan Su saw that Yun Jian and the others had fainted. Stop shouting. I think they are trying to retrieve their memories. Wu Lan pressed down on Lan Su's hand that was about to shake Adam. She stopped Lan Su. Time, like a twisted tunnel, opened the dusty memories. 1,000 years ago, in the residence of the sorcerer god in the sorcerer tribe, Lan Su helped the sorcerer god put on a black coat and stood beside a bronze mirror as he asked the sorcerer god, Lord Sorcerer God, the ceremony is about to begin. Aren't you going? No. The sorcerer god stood up and walked out. Halfway through, the sorcerer goddess stopped in her tracks. She turned sideways, her slender figure wrapped in a black robe. She moved her red lips slightly and said to Lan Su, I'm going out for a walk. You don't have to come with me. Yes. Lan Su nodded. Only then did the sorcerer god leave. There was a quiet forest in Yulong mainland. There was a cave in the forest. There was a bed and daily necessities in the cave. The sorcerer god didn't like those complicated things. When she was bored, she only liked to walk around in this quiet cave. She was the respected sorcerer god of the sorcerer tribe. Everyone envied her, but no one knew that she was tired of this identity. Her life belonged to the sorcerer tribe. Protecting the sorcerer tribe was her mission. She didn't even have the chance to choose her own love and survive. The sorcerer god had just walked into the cave when she turned around when a familiar man's aura hit her. A slender hand grabbed her slender wrist. Lord Divine Lord. Seeing the man in front of her, the sorcerer god was stunned and was about to bow. Why didn't you come to the ceremony? You don't want to see me? He grabbed her hand and questioned her. Just now, when the king of Yulong mainland said that she wouldn't appear at the ceremony, he couldn't help but let his protector kill the king. We don't belong to the same world. Don't come looking for me again. The sorcerer god lowered her head slightly. She was about to continue speaking when he grabbed her wrist and pulled her onto the bed. Chapter 1569. As he spoke, he buried his head in her neck and nibbled on her snow-white neck. His heavy breathing hit her side. The sorcerer goddess put her hands between him and her body, but allowed him to nibble on her snow-white skin. Until the snow-white skin on her neck turned red from his nibbling. She only put her hands between their chests and did not move. He grabbed her head, but was so gentle that he could not bear to hurt her. He buried his head and kissed her red lips fiercely. This time, she reached out to push him away, but her hands were caught in one of his large palms. She could not break free. Actually, she had feelings for him too. If she did not have any feelings for him, she would not have allowed him to nibble on her neck and leave marks on her beautiful and pure skin. It was only when he released her lips and stopped moving while panting heavily that she called out softly, "Lord, divine Lord." Although she was the sorcerer goddess, and was called the sorcerer goddess by the world, she was so powerful that she was invincible. However, no one knew that she could kill a god with her bare hands. In the whole world, there was only one person who was more powerful than her. That person was her nemesis. That person was the Sir Divine Lord. "Don't call me Sir Divine Lord. If you call me that again, I'll take you." His eyes were red. He reached out and grabbed one of her slender wrists above her head. She looked straight at him. There was no fear in her eyes. She did not call him Sir Divine Lord anymore, because she knew that if she called him that, he would really do what he said and take her right here. As the sorcerer goddess of the sorcerer tribe, as a girl of the sorcerer tribe, she could not lose her virginity to a man before marriage. Otherwise, she could either kill the man, marry him, or commit suicide. Naturally, she could not break this rule first. "Tell me, why didn't you come to the ceremony?" Seeing that the girl was distracted under him, he pressed her head to make her look into his eyes and asked. He did not see her at the ceremony just now, so he was impulsive. The king of the Yulong mainland said that the sorcerer goddess would definitely not come to the ceremony. He did not show his emotions on his face, but asked his protector to kill the king of the Yulong mainland. Now outsiders might think that the divine monarch had gone mad. "We shouldn't meet again. You're the divine lord of the gods' continent, and I'm the witch god of the wizard tribe. We shouldn't," she said. She shouldn't have gone to God's continent 3 years ago, and she shouldn't have gotten to know him. They shouldn't have been together in the first place. Perhaps it was a mistake from the first time they met. Shouldn't? To me, you are the best gift given to me by the heavens. I won't allow you to say those 3 words again, he said forcefully before kissing her hard on the lips. The sorcerer god existed because of the sorcerer tribe. It could be said that she existed for the sorcerer tribe. The word love was not allowed in her life. Otherwise, it would be going against the heavens. Going against the heavens meant that she would fall and her soul would scatter. She really wanted to tell him that she was willing, but he bit all over her neck and tore off the black shirt on her shoulder. Just as he was about to rip her clothes off, she blocked his hand. "Lord, divine Lord, don't." She was not weak. She reached out to stop him from violating her, but he broke through in the next second. The sorcerer goddess's strength was unmatched in the entire Yulong mainland. Even in the gods' continent, she had a shocking record of killing gods. However, in front of the Lord Divine Lord, her strength was not as good as his. When he heard her call him Lord Divine Lord in such a distant manner, he grabbed her delicate wrist and pulled it out. "Where are you taking me?" Her eyes moved slightly as she asked. Chapter 1570. As he spoke, he pulled her out of the cave from the bed. His actions seemed rough, but in reality, he was holding her hand and gently and carefully pulled her out of the cave. "I'm not going to the gods' continent." When they reached the entrance of the cave, the witch goddess retracted her hand. She tried to pull her wrist back, but he held it firmly. "You don't have a choice." He could satisfy her with anything else, but this was the only thing he wouldn't agree to. "You can't be so bossy. I'm the witch god of the witch tribe, not one of your people." She refused to follow him out of the cave, but she stood in place. When she said, "I'm not one of your people," he tightened his grip on her hand. "I'm the ruler of the gods' continent. Can't I take you away? As he spoke, he tightened his grip on her hand. His eyes were fixed on her as he said this very seriously. As he said this, his gaze landed on her body, only to see that her shoulders were bare. Because when he pushed her onto the bed, he reached out and tore off the clothes on her shoulders, revealing half of her fair shoulders. At this moment, her shoulders were half exposed. Her fair shoulders swayed in front of him. He swallowed hard and took a big step forward. What are you doing? When she saw him standing in front of her, she took a step back out of reflex, but she fell back against the stone wall of the cave. He didn't say anything and moved closer to her. She instinctively shrank back. Because of the way he treated her just now, she was in a daze for a moment. Just as she was about to push him away, he grabbed her wrist. Then, his hand was attached to the plain clothes on her shoulders. Just when she thought he was going to do something unreasonable to her, she felt his hand on her shoulder grab her black shirt and pull it up a little. He didn't let go of her until he tidied up her clothes. So he just wanted to tidy up her clothes. She was stunned. She raised her head slightly and saw his handsome and flawless face. She could only reach his chin. When she raised her head, she could see his well-defined chin and the long eyelashes beside his eyes. Seeing that he was only tidying up her clothes, she actually felt a little disappointed. She was shocked by her own thoughts, so she quickly suppressed them in her mind. You. Before she could finish her sentence, a man with delicate features walked over from the side of the cave. The man stood in front of the Divine Lord and called out, "Sir Divine Lord." Then, the man glanced sideways at the sorcerer god and said to the Divine Lord, "Sir Divine Lord, a black-robed man has invaded the gods' continent. The gods can no longer hold him back. Please return and help." This man was none other than Shuang. The snow eagle from 1,000 years ago had thrown away his handsome and candid aura, and there wasn't even a scar on his neck. Handsome and dashing. Apart from the Divine Lords, Shui Ying's looks were enough to instantly overtake all the other men on the continent. He was truly a handsome man. The Lord God turned his head and glanced at Shui Ying. He grabbed her hand and tightened his grip slightly. Then he turned to look at her and said solemnly, "Wait for me at the sorcerer tribe." At this moment, the lock on her memory disintegrated. It was as if something was forcefully preventing her from recalling her memories. Yunjian, Ce, Shuiying, Adam, and Mo Sun, who were lying on the table, suddenly raised their heads at the same time. Then what happened? The moment Yunjian raised her head, a drop of cold sweat rolled down from the corner of her eye. She said listlessly. Chapter 1571. Wu Lan's words brought Yunjian back to reality from her memories. I didn't find it. After the black light flashed just now, I ran in the direction it came from, but I couldn't find any trace of it even after a long time. I think it's probably the mysterious person who did it. Lan Su ran over from afar panting. She frowned after she said that. Yunjian sat on the bench with her hand on the table, supporting her head with one hand, looking like she was deep in thought. While Yunjian was deep in thought, a large hand grabbed her. "Xiao Jian, I won't let you go again." It was Ce. Ce grabbed Yunjian, preventing her from looking elsewhere. "I'm not the witch goddess. I won't leave. Even if the witch tribe is destroyed, I'll always be with you." Yunjian held Ce in return. It was her first time saying such touching words in front of so many people. Yunjian, Ce, and Shuang did not receive any relevant memories of what happened after the memory was cut off. Therefore, no one knew what happened next. "Yunjian, have you recovered your spiritual power?" Lan Su went to Yunjian and asked in anticipation. "Let me try." Receiving a part of the witch goddess's memory felt like a part of another person's memory was forcefully inserted into her own life. In spite of it, she had received a part of the witch goddess's memory. Yunjian raised her hand slightly to see if she could gather spiritual power. Swoosh! The moment Yunjian raised her hand, a gust of wind whipped up around them. A huge tornado hovered on the spot, its force so strong that it seemed like it could tear the entire Yulong mainland apart. So this is spiritual power. Yunjian's eyes glinted as she looked up to scan her surroundings. The wind and clouds were raging around them. The the force of the gust almost collapsing the witch tribe's palace. Yunjian's eyelashes fluttered. She was a little shocked. Because at this moment, no one knew better than her that the spiritual power she was using now was as weak as a speck of dust under her fingernails. What if she used all of her spiritual energy? Yunjian was pleasantly surprised for a moment. Spiritual energy, it was indeed a good thing. Fully recovered? Yunjian, have you fully recovered your spiritual power? Lan Su was already used to calling Yunjian by her real name. At this moment, seeing Yunjian's spiritual power recover, Lan Su was so excited that she almost jumped up. Sorcerer God, Patriarch, what was going on? Why did the sky suddenly darken, and there's even a gust of wind? In a place far away, a young shaman girl braved the fierce wind and walked towards a side courtyard with great difficulty. The strong wind blew all of a sudden. The people of the sorcerer tribe were celebrating the return of the sorcerer god and the return of the sorcerer tribe as the #1 family in the Yulong mainland. However, this gust of wind had suddenly blown up and scared the people of the sorcerer tribe. Could it be that the Huyan family hadn't been destroyed? Therefore, the people of the sorcerer tribe in the palace deliberately sent the young shaman girl to the backyard to ask for help from the sorcerer god and the patriarch. It's me. Yunjian's red arc curved slightly. She raised half of her face into a smile. Then she put down her hand. The huge wave that had just condensed in her hand disintegrated and disappeared in a flash. It didn't leave any trace behind. The young shaman girl was stupefied when she saw this scene. The young shaman girl was stunned for 2 seconds. Then she suddenly exclaimed loudly. She turned around and rushed towards the main hall. She ran while shouting, "The sorcerer god has recovered his spiritual power. The sorcerer god has recovered his spiritual power." Her ecstatic voice almost reverberated through the sky. It wasn't difficult to feel how pleasantly surprised the young shaman girl was when she heard this news. The sorcerer god was powerful, and this meant that the sorcerer tribe would be able to maintain peace for a long time. The sorcerer god was the religion of the sorcerer tribe. In the past, the sorcerer god had killed the gods of the gods continent. Some people had once asserted that the sorcerer god of the sorcerer tribe was more powerful than the sorcerer god in the whole world. Besides the Lord God of the gods continent, no one could be a match for him. The sorcerer god was a person who existed in the world. People couldn't help but respect and adore him. The Yulong continent seemed to be peaceful, but it was full of ups and downs of crisis. The person who had interrupted her, CE, and the others from receiving the memory transmitted from the sandalwood box, must be that mysterious person. She hadn't seen the mysterious person's true face from her previous life until she had returned to the Yulong continent. But the mysterious person had always existed. Yunjian couldn't express her anger in words. But she had to go back to Earth first. As for the central continent that she had heard from the mouth of the Huyan family's patriarch, Huyan Ba. Huyan Ba had said that he had heard the conversation between 2 mysterious people in the central continent. So, Yunjian had to go to the central continent. But now wasn't the time. She had to go back to Earth now. Yunjian, CE, and the others returned to Earth early the next morning. They went straight to Pu City in He Province. Chapter 1572. Country Z, He Province, Pu City. The morning sky was a little hazy. It was chilly and the wind blew. The sun could not be seen until noon. There were only dark clouds in the sky. They were different from the snow-white clouds that floated by on a sunny day. The dark clouds that floated by in the sky were very dark. The dark clouds dyed the sky pitch black. However, there was no sign of rain on the dark clouds that had been floating in the sky since the morning. The friendly competition started in the morning and lasted until 4 in the afternoon. The friendly competition was a competition of individual results. For example, target shooting, and 5,000-meter cross-country running were all calculated based on individual results. Then, all the scores of the students from each military academy would be added together to form the total score. This total score would be directly calculated into the ranking of all the military academies. The total score would be the ranking of all the military academies. The morning passed quickly. There were still 20 minutes to the end of the competition. Wait a minute. Isn't it unfair to calculate the total score now? Min City Military Academy is short of 2 people. Our total score can only be ranked third among all the military academies. Wang Kuan stood in front of the military academy students and said with dissatisfaction, "Uft, your Min City Military Academy only got this result last year. So what if that girl is back?" Although she defeated Lin Kuei, the chief bodyguard of Cheetah Bodyguard Company, we are competing in the individual competition this time. Only when the individual results are added to the total score will the school's total score be calculated and ranked. Wang Kuan, I don't want to criticize you, but there are only 20 minutes left. After 20 minutes, no matter what the reason is, you will be disqualified. Moreover, a 5,000-meter cross-country run takes more than 20 minutes. Even the fastest would take more than 10 minutes, right? So what if the 2 of them are here now? Do you think they can complete all the tests in 20 minutes? Tisk tsk. Wang Kuan stopped daydreaming. Your Min City Military Academy can forget about getting second place this year. Hey, why are you looking at me like that? Haha, I see that your Min City Military Academy is short of 2 people. It's already good enough that your total score can barely secure third place in the military academy. You are still not satisfied. Wang Kuan was a student from Min City Military Academy. Just as he was feeling indignant that his school was missing 2 people from the competition, Lin Zigua, a student from the super elite school, who had always been hostile to Min City Military Academy, stood up. After Lin Zigua stood up, he mocked and sneered at Wang Kuan. His smug look was simply unbearable to the people present. There was a time limit for the friendly match. Once it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, even if Yun Jian and Ce made it back in time, they would have been disqualified at that time. Even if he came back now, there were only 20 minutes left before the start of the match. In 20 minutes, they had to finish the 5 events of the 5,000-meter cross-country run: shooting, target practice, and long jump. Was this a dream? Unless Yun Jian and Ce could fly, there was no way they could complete these 4 projects. Lin Zigua. Wang Kuan was so infuriated by Lin Zigua that he almost vomited blood. On this large field, all the military academy students had already received their individual achievements. They were just waiting for 4 o'clock to officially end the friendly competition. What about you? Who asked those 2 students from Min City Military Academy to be so useless? Haha, they want to compete with our super elite school? Dream on. Lin Zigua said arrogantly. At this point, Lin Zigua felt that it was not enough, so he added, I think you should just give up on those 2 students from Min City Military Academy. They won't be able to come back. Even if they come back now, it's too late. There's only 20 minutes left. You can still fight. Lin Zigua muttered the last sentence to himself. However, just as Lin Zigua finished muttering to himself, a sharp female voice rang out. The voice was loud and clear, but it was enough to make everyone present turn their heads and look over. Who said we're giving up? Don't talk about whether your super elite military academy can keep second place. Today, I'm going to take first place from Taiji Military Academy. Just as he said that, Yun Jian and Ce came into view from the other end of the hall. Chapter 1573. She actually said that she wanted to take first place in Taiji Military Academy. How arrogant. Everyone present sucked in a deep breath. Yun Jian's ability aside, the friendly competition wasn't about a person's ability. It was about the points of each person's abilities. The total score of a military academy was calculated by adding up the scores of all the students in each individual event. What kind of existence was Taiji Military Academy? Since the first season of the friendly competition, Taiji Military Academy had been firmly in first place. Ever since the friendly competition was held, Taiji Military Academy had never gotten second place. As for Taiji Military Academy's first place ranking, the students of the other military academies no longer doubted it. Yet, Yun Jian actually said that she wanted to take first place? And there were only 19 minutes left before the competition ended. If Yunjian and CE could complete 4 events in 19 minutes and get full marks for each event, then Min City would be able to take first place in the competition. It wouldn't be a joke if Min City Military Academy could really take first place this year. Was it possible to get full marks for each event? Was it scientific? Furthermore, there were only 19 minutes left. If there was enough time, Yunjian and CE would be able to achieve excellent results for each event. They might even be able to surpass the Chaoshin Military Academy, which was currently in second place. Ahahaha. There are only 19 minutes left, alright? Weren't the two of you pretty cocky 2 days ago? Now that there's not enough time, let's see if you can still do it. Lin Ziguo was already dissatisfied with Yunjian and CE's abilities. Taking advantage of this opportunity to mock them, he mocked them for the rest of his life. That's right. There are only 19 minutes left before the competition ends. Does she really think that she's a god? Although this girl is pretty, she's too narcissistic. Yeah, she really doesn't know what's good for her. The students from the other military academies also started mocking them. In an instant, everyone's target was Yunjian and CE. Since the students from the other schools had already finished their matches, more than 100 people were waiting to see Yunjian and CE's performance. Teacher, please help me prepare the timing for all the events. Ignoring everyone, Yunjian turned to look at the referee, who was recording the results and keeping time with the stopwatch, and spoke faintly. The moment Yunjian said this, the teachers and referees were dumbfounded. Were these two students really going to challenge them? There were only 18 minutes left. Would they really make it in time? Even so, the teachers and referees still quickly finished the stopwatch and other things for the 4 events. The students around them made way for them as their eyes were glued to Yunjian and CE. The most exciting moment had come. The students around them all held their breaths. They watched as Yunjian and CE raised the rifles in front of them the moment the referee finished the stopwatch for the first event. They didn't even look at the target. Yunjian and CE grabbed their rifles and fired 10 shots in a short span of 10 seconds. The two of them were equally matched in terms of speed. The first event only took 10 seconds to complete. Then, Yunjian and CE quickly ran to the second event. Haha, they finished shooting in 10 seconds? How can that be accurate? Lin Ziguo said disdainfully in front of the crowd. As he spoke, he sneered as he looked at the target. However, what caught his eye was the 2 targets on the target. Out of the 10 rings, all 10 shots hit the target. This was a perfect performance. Lin Ziguo and the surrounding students who were mocking Yunjian and CE widened their eyes. When they turned to look at Yunjian and CE, they saw that CE and Yunjian had already completed the second event, the third event, the long jump, and started the fourth event, the 5,000-meter cross-country run. They only used half a minute to complete the 3 events? What kind of joke was this? Was this still the speed a person should have? Chapter 1574. The voices of the 2 referees shocked the crowd. Excluding the time taken to run from one event to another, Yunjian and CE completed one event every 10 seconds. Lin Ziguo, who was standing far away, exclaimed in horror. No! This is impossible. How can they complete the task in such a short time? And full marks. If Yunjian and CE could complete the 5 kilometers cross-country run in the last 10 minutes and get full marks, then Min City Military School would be first this year. At this moment, not only were Lin Ziguo and the other super godly military school students shocked, even the Taiji Military School students widened their eyes in shock. On the other side, CE calmly reached out and grabbed Yunjian's hand in front of everyone. The two of them ran towards the route of the 5 kilometers cross-country run. It didn't seem like they were running, but they were actually running very fast. Most importantly, CE and Yunjian hadn't used their full strength yet. But even so, it was enough to make everyone's hearts clench. If this continued, even Taiji Military School's first place would be snatched away by them. There was a part of the 5 kilometers cross-country run that went around the foot of the mountain. Both the teachers and the referees couldn't see anyone during this part of the route. The stronger boys from Taiji Military School looked at each other, and then greeted the other boys from Taiji Military School. Then, they quietly walked towards the small path at the back of the mountain. There's a good show to watch. Let's go watch it. Lin Zigua saw this, and brought a few students from his school to chase after them. Wang Kuan and the rest didn't notice the small movements of Taiji Military School and Lin Zigua's group. The people from Min City Military School were still standing in place, waiting for Yun Jian and Ce to arrive. Back of the mountain, Ce and Yun Jian were sprinting at top speed. To outsiders, they looked like they were sprinting, but at this moment, Ce was holding Yun Jian's hand as he jogged with Yun Jian at his slowest speed. The two of you, if you're smart, you'd better stop right now. Don't lose this round on purpose. Our Taiji Military Academy has been in first place since the start of the friendly competition. If Taiji Military Academy loses the competition because of you, we won't let you off. A few boys from Taiji Military Academy rushed out from the small path and stood in front of Yun Jian and Ce's route. They blocked Yun Jian and Ce from afar. The boys from Taiji Military Academy were all tall and strong. They stood in a row and blocked Yun Jian and Ce's path. From the looks of it, even if they couldn't beat Yun Jian and Ce, they still wanted to prevent Yun Jian and Ce from reaching the finish line in the allotted time. If Yun Jian and Ce got full marks this time, then no one would be able to change Min City Military School's first place. Lin Zigua and the rest, who were following behind, watched from afar. There wasn't much time left. With the boys from Taiji Military Academy blocking them, Yun Jian and Ce definitely wouldn't be able to reach the finish line in the allotted time. Lin Zigua grinned and thought that the boys from Taiji Military Academy would definitely be able to stop Yun Jian and Ce. Lin Zigua and the rest were shocked to see this scene. However, Yun Jian and Ce didn't even look at the boys from Taiji Military Academy. The two of them leaped up from the ground in tacit understanding. They jumped 2 meters high and stepped on the heads of the two boys from Taiji Military Academy. With a light leap, they bypassed the boys from Taiji Military Academy and continued running. The two boys from Taiji Military Academy were so angry that their faces turned green. Yun Jian and Ce had already run forward. No matter how hard the boys from Taiji Military Academy and Lin Zigua and the rest chased after them, they couldn't catch up. There was no doubt that Min City Military School's first place was in the bag. Yun Jian had just finished running when she saw Yu Shaluo standing by the side at the finish line. Seeing that Yun Jian had reached the finish line, Yu Shaluo waved at her. Although she didn't know why Yu Shaluo was here, Yun Jian still walked over. Ce didn't follow her because Yu Shaluo had stopped her. In the dark, Yu Shaluo frowned slightly. He turned his head and said to Yun Jian, "The hunting school selection has been brought forward. It will officially start in 7 days. Then, there will be a month of closed training. Those who are eliminated will be sent out of the selection field. Are you ready?" Hearing this, Yun Jian raised her eyebrows slightly and said softly, "I'm always ready." Chapter 1575. Since you're always prepared, I'm relieved. I'm just worried that the selection would be held a month later. But now that it's brought forward, you won't be prepared. Yu Shaluo was relieved to hear Yun Jian say that she was ready. He was afraid that Yun Jian would be eliminated within a few days of going to the selection if she wasn't prepared. The selection, as the name suggested, was to select those who could represent country Z and go to the hunting school to further their studies. The selection would eliminate all the shortlisted candidates, and the top 3 special forces would be selected in the end. The top 3 special forces would be members who could go to the hunting school to further their studies. Okay. Yun Jian nodded at Yu Shaluo. Although Yun Jian's attitude towards Yu Shaluo was normal, it was all thanks to Yu Shaluo's recommendation in front of Min City's principal Ma that she was able to enter the selection. Yu Shaluo was Gu Yunjian's comrade. He had promised Gu Junjian that he would take good care of Yun Jian at Min City's military academy. He did it and even did her a big favor. Yun Jian had always been a person who would take revenge and repay kindness. Although she wouldn't say much, she would always remember his kindness in her heart. Yun Jian, You can go over there and gather first. I'll leave first. I have a mission. I was just passing by, so I thought I'd tell you about it. Yu Shaluo saw that the students from Min City's military academy had already gathered and were preparing to return to Min City. He quickly reached out and pointed in their direction before speaking to Yun Jian. After Yu Shaluo finished speaking, he turned around and left first. He was wearing a dark green military uniform. His tall and handsome figure was enough to make many women scream. Yun Jian walked over to Ce the moment Yu Shaluo turned around. What did you say? Ce grabbed Yun Jian's little hand and asked softly. Yun Jian told Ce that she was going to the hunting school. Ce tacitly agreed with Yun Jian's decision. As long as her decision didn't endanger her life, he wouldn't stop her. Coincidentally, I'm also going back to the organization. Call me when you're back. As soon as she returned, he would return to Min City's military academy, or Longmin City immediately. Since she wasn't around, he naturally wouldn't stay a second longer. He reached out and rubbed Yun Jian's head as he said softly. He loved her more and more. Just like when he was the Lord Divine Lord, he was willing to give up his life for her. Ce didn't tell anyone that he had recovered all his memories from his previous life when the sandalwood box was opened. Yun Jian's memory stopped at that moment, but Ce's memory had completely recovered. However, he did not intend to tell her about his memory recovery. If possible, he hoped that she would never regain her memories. Back then, the sorcerer tribe had been framed by the black-robed man. The sorcerer god had used all of his spiritual energy to protect the sorcerer tribe, but he himself had gone against the heavenly Tao and his soul had been destroyed. As a divine sovereign, he didn't even think twice before using his own godhead to defy the heavenly Tao and save her. A god who used his godhead would have his soul destroyed directly. He had planned to exchange his life for hers. Afraid that the black-robed man would harm her again, he forcefully tore open the stone tunnel to earth and sent her there. As for himself, his soul should have been destroyed because he had gone against the heavenly Tao, but somehow, he had fallen to earth and followed her. As for his 4 guardians, the 4 leaders of an Hun group, they had followed him to earth voluntarily and had lost their memories of their past lives. One of the most important reasons Ce didn't want Yun Jian to remember the past was that the black-robed man must be the mysterious person who had never shown himself. If she remembered this, based on his understanding of her, she would definitely seek revenge from the mysterious person. He didn't want any accidents to happen to her, not even the slightest possibility. It was enough for him to take revenge for her alone. He had once said that even if he were to die, it would be him taking her place. Chapter 1576. MN. Yun Jian, who stood in front of him, lifted her head to glance at him before lowering it shyly. Looking at Yun Jian, Ce felt that everything he had done was worth it. At least now, she was willing to be with him openly. Just as Ce was thinking about it, Yun Jian suddenly told him, "You're right. If you don't come back, I'll look for you in the organization." Look for him in an Hun group. Ce's lips curled up at her words. In the next second, he pulled her into his arms. "Xiao Jian, I'll never let go of you in this lifetime, the next lifetime, and the lifetime after that forever." He hugged her waist and declared solemnly, "Even if the sky falls, I'll never leave you." Yun Jian hugged his firm chest in front of her classmates. Yo, over there. Ha ha ha. Wang Kuan and the rest had no more opinions about Yun Jian, and Ce now that they had gotten first place in Min City's military academy. Looking at Yun Jian and Ce hugging each other, Wang Kuan and the rest started teasing them instead, their initial sarcasm gone. Not long after they returned to Min City's military academy, Ce went back to an Hun group first. Yun Jian had to prepare for the selection field these days. So Principal Ma personally approved Yun Jian's 7-day leave after she returned to Min City's military academy. These 7 days allowed Yun Jian to prepare in advance for the selection field. In fact, Yun Jian did not have to prepare anything intentionally, but she accepted the 7-day leave that Principal Ma applied for her gladly. It was Friday when she returned to school, so school was dismissed right after she arrived. Lin Wan and Muing walked out of the school gate with her. As they walked, Lin Wan was still very envious of Yun Jian. Wow, you can have 7 days off. That's so cool. I really envy you, Yun Jian. We can rest for 2 days on the weekend. Muing whispered at the side. That's different. We have 2 days off on the weekend and have to go back to school. Yun Jian can rest for 7 days. 7 days? It's as long as the National Day holiday, Lin Wan said enviously. Most of the students were counting the days until the holidays. Muing, on the other hand, felt that school was a very safe place after her bloody experience in the Enhun organization in her previous life. On this point, everyone's experiences were different, and their understandings were also different. Just as she returned to Longmen City, Yun Jian received Ning Lanlan's call. It had been a while since he last saw Ning Lanlan. He first met Ning Lanlan when they were having a barbecue by the river. Ning Lanlan had borrowed salt from Yun Jian and the others. Ning Lanlan was a very energetic girl who used to study in foreign languages high school. After her senior high school entrance exams, she got into Longmen City's second high school. Second high school was considered a key high school in Longmen City. Although it was not as good as first high school where Yuni studied, being able to get into second high school was already an impressive feat in 1999. Mobile phones were gradually becoming more common. Children from wealthy families already had mobile phones in their hands. Ning Lanlan asked Yun Jian out to play, and Yun Jian did not reject her. Initially, Yun Jian had planned to look for Zhang Xiaofeng, Chen Xini, and Ling Yichen when she returned to Longmen City. She wanted to look for Zhang Xiaofeng because she wanted to supervise Zhang Xiaofeng on whether Zhang Xiaofeng had trained properly while she was away. However, since Ning Lanlan asked her out, Yun Jian put aside the idea of looking for Zhang Xiaofeng and the others. They agreed to meet on Saturday. The next day, Yun Jian wore clothes of decent quality today. It was a white top with a pair of dark blue jeans. The jeans showed off her figure very well. Yun Jian's exquisite beauty was exposed completely in this outfit. At the meeting place, Yun Jian saw Ning Lanlan. There were 3 to 4 young men and women standing beside Ning Lanlan. Yun Jian knew one of them. It was the senior whom Ning Lanlan admired, Xiao Jiming. Chapter 1577. Ning Lanlan was waving at Yun Jian with 7 tickets in her hand. Soaring Dragon Mountain was a newly opened scenic spot in Longmen City. Soaring Dragon Mountain was a natural sightseeing platform with natural beauty. Later on, after some artificial modification, it became the current scenic spot. The reason why Soaring Dragon Mountain was charged was that its scenic spot was great. Many TV drama crews would visit Soaring Dragon Mountain to shoot scenes. Nowadays, TV dramas and movies were gradually becoming popular in the leisure time of the people. It was not as popular as it was now, but to people back then, it had gradually developed into a pastime to kill time. How did TV dramas and movies come about? Of course, they were filmed. Therefore, the term production crew was deeply ingrained in people's hearts. Soaring Dragon Mountain was beautiful, and many production crews loved to visit it. This was why many people were willing to pay to enter Soaring Dragon Mountain now. The goal was to see how those magical TV dramas were filmed. After all, in this era, high-tech things like TV dramas and movies were magical to many people. I have tickets here. Shall we go to Soaring Dragon Mountain now? Ning Lanlan pulled Yun Jian into her arms when she saw Yun Jian coming over. Yun Jian did not object. It was not a bad thing to go out for a walk when they were free. The teenagers standing around them were Xiao Jiming's friends. Yun Jian had long known that Ning Lanlan had a crush on Xiao Jiming. As for the other teenagers, Ning Lanlan did not know them very well. Foreign Languages High School had a high school section as well. It was a pity that Ning Lanlan did not get into the high school section during the middle school exams. Xiao Jiming was a student of Foreign Languages High School, and Ning Lanlan and Xiao Jiming were no longer in the same school. Even so, Ning Lanlan still wanted to drag Xiao Jiming out with her. In spite of it, Xiao Jiming had a lot of friends and there were a lot of tickets to Soaring Dragon Mountain this time. So he brought a few of his classmates to go with him. Soaring Dragon Mountain was beautiful indeed. It could be seen from the entrance of the scenic spot. As soon as they entered the entrance of the scenic area, Ning Lanlan pulled Yun Jian's hand and walked to the side to tell Yun Jian mysteriously and excitedly. Yun Jian, did you know? Senior Jiming said that after we finish high school, he will agree to be with me because he has to prepare for the college entrance exam. He doesn't want to be distracted. Sometimes love was just that cheap. Even if one had to wait for 3 days. As long as there was a time limit, it was enough to make a person go crazy. Ning Lanlan was just like that. Ning Lanlan pulled Yun Jian aside and whispered a lot to her. She also asked if Yun Jian was doing well recently. When the group of people climbed to the top of Longtung Mountain, they saw that not far away, there was a film crew filming, and there were many people watching the show. Hey, they're filming over there. Let's go take a look. Ning Lanlan grabbed Yun Jian's hand excitedly and ran over. Xiao Jiming, as well as a few accompanying boys and girls, also ran over. Right in front of everyone, a man and a woman dressed in ancient costumes were filming a battle scene. Kakaka, Shu Qin, you're acting as a female assassin. Do you know what a female assassin is? What's with that gentle look of yours? The director beside them was so angry that he immediately yelled at the actress to cut the scene. Director, I don't know how to do it. The actress stomped her feet and replied coyly. Ning Lanlan and the rest who were standing far away were excited, as they had never seen a film before. However, the girlfriend of one of Xiao Jiming's friends pouted. She said in a softer voice, I think she's quite good at acting. Xiao Jiming's friend's girlfriend was called Situ Qing. She was quite good-looking and had a nice body. Situ Qing was only halfway through her sentence when Yun Jian's voice came from the side. The moment they heard Yun Jian's voice, the people around them looked at her. However, Yun Jian's sharp words echoed throughout the place. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.